Okay. A very good afternoon to one and all. Department of BAF, BMS, and BBI of Patkar-Varde College under Emporio Summit welcome students, faculties for the international webinar on the topic Pioneering Venture,
Okay.
New Age
A very good
Entrepreneurship.
afternoon to one and all.
I, Ms. Zeba Khan,
Department of
BAF
and
BMS,
BMS
and
coordinator
BBI, wish
of
to introduce
Patkar-Varde
you all
College
our
under
education
Emporio Summit.
institution. Welcome
Our
students. College was founded by Chikitsak Samuha, an association of like-minded people who were keenly interested in education. The college was named after Sir Sitaram Patkar, a distinguished judge of the Bombay High Court, who was knighted after his retirement, and his wife, Lady Shantabai Patkar. Sir Sitaram was deeply interested in furthering the cause of women's education and the Vice Chancellor of the SNDT University for many years. The College of Arts and Science started functioning from the academic year 1964-65 and the Commerce section from the academic year 1980-81. To provide career-based education, the college started degree-level self-financed courses from the year 2000 and 2001. Since then, the college has constantly upgraded the courses offered and the infrastructures required for these courses to provide students with the best possible learning opportunities. Many of our alumni hold a very good position in various fields. Patkar-Varde College has a place of pride amongst the various educational institutions in the western suburb of Mumbai. The college was re-accredited with a score of 3.53 by NAC in the 2018 third cycle. Following this, academic autonomy was conferred to the college from the academic year 2019-20. In April 2020, as per the Education World India College ranking, our college has ranked 45th in all India and 10th rank in Maharashtra. With this, I'll just ask my principal, sir, Dr. Shrikant Sawant, to please continue. I just want you to share your views, sir.
Thank you, Deva. Good afternoon to you all, and this gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all on the occasion of this interesting webinar. Department of BAF, BMS, and BBI organized Emporia Summit, RUSA sponsored interesting webinar on Pioneering Ventures, New Age Entrepreneurship. This is RUSA sponsored webinar organized by the departments of BAF, BMS, and BBI of Chikitsak Samuha. Chikitsak Samuha, Sir Sitaram and Lady Shantabai Patkar College of Arts and Science, and Patkar-Varde College of Commerce and Economics. We welcome you here for this webinar. Our college was founded by Chikitsak Samuha, an association of like-minded individuals who were keenly interested in education. The college was named after Sir Sitaram Patkar, a distinguished judge of Bombay High Court, who was knighted after his retirement, and his wife, Lady Shantabai Patkar. Sir Sitaram was deeply interested in furthering the cause of women's education and was the Vice Chancellor of SNDT University for many years. The College of Arts and Science started functioning. College of Arts and Science started functioning from the year 1964-65, and from the and Commerce section from the academic year 1980-81. To provide career-based education, the college started degree-level self-finance courses from the year 2000-2001. Since then, the college has constantly upgraded the courses offered and the infrastructure required for these courses to provide students with best possible learning opportunities. In keeping up the spirit of learning and growing through criticism, we have set up high standards, working continuously towards advanced goals. Many of our alumni hold very good position in various fields. Patkar-Varde College has a place of pride amongst the various education institutions in the western suburbs of Mumbai. Our college is re-accredited by NAC in its third cycle with A+ grade, securing 3.53 CGPA. Autonomy was conferred on the college from the academic year 2019-20. We are ISO 9001-2015 certified and recipient of Best College Award by the University of Mumbai in the year 2016-17. We are DBT Star Scheme and RUSA 2.0 awardee. India's Education Excellence Award 2018 Berkshire was conferred on our college. Education World India ranking our college 45th in India and 10th in Maharashtra amongst the private autonomous colleges. On this occasion, I take proud privilege to welcome our honorable speakers and resource person for this webinar, Mr. Umesh Nihelani, Dubai, Guidance on Building Entrepreneurs. And we have our second eminent speaker, Ms. Shunaza Khan, who will speak on, he's from London, who will speak on guidance on effective communication for entrepreneurs. On this occasion, I also welcome our President, Honorable Sri Rangnekar sir, Vice President, Dr. Kiran Mangavkar sir, Joint Secretary, Dr. Pandit sir, CEO of Dr. Mala Kharkar, and all the conveners, students, participants for this webinar. Once again, I would like to welcome you on the occasion. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for sharing your views with us. Now about the theme of this webinar. The theme of the webinar is the need of the hour. The webinar will focus on young and upcoming entrepreneurs who open up new areas of thought, research, and development. Entrepreneur skills prepare an individual self-sustain and also accelerate job opportunities, whereas ventures or business ideas, on the other hand, are full of risk and uncertainties, wherein we hope both the speakers will surely guide all participants how to become a good entrepreneur, how they can start a scalable business, how they can communicate well in the social entrepreneurship concept, and how they can become the optimistic entrepreneurs by accomplishing their dreams. Now, without taking much of your time, I hand the session to Dr. B.M. Rai. Sir, kindly just proceed ahead and introduce our first speaker of the day.
Thank you, madam. Good afternoon, colleagues and students. Our first speaker is Mr. Umesh Nihalani, a chartered accountant who has cleared CFA level 1 from USA, and he's a postgraduate from Mumbai University. He has done his DBF and SET. Sir started off as an educationist, providing education and training in capacity building and leadership. And thereafter, he proceeded to financial services with over 11 years of experience in ratings and risk management, team management and SBU setups, business model evaluation, structured finance, advisory, new product launches, and business development. Sir has over 7 years of experience in mergers and acquisitions, due diligence, strategy formulations, execution, and fundraising. I now request Sir to start the session. Thank you, sir. You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Rai. I think this is the most eloquent description of my abilities anybody has ever done, and I am deeply indebted to you for such a glowing recommendation. I'm really an ordinary guy, and I'm here to share a couple of bits of what I have learned about entrepreneurship, with the hope that young students benefit from a little bit of gray hair that I've got, and are a little more equipped in the world of entrepreneurship, which is becoming very, very competitive, but which is also very highly sought after. I wanted to basically, first thank everyone for giving me this opportunity. I think it's a wonderful launch platform for young minds who are keen in pursuing entrepreneurship. And I believe in today's world there is a great need for people to be innovative and risk takers. I think that is the way the future is evolving, and I think it's best that it's accepted and it is embraced with its full potential. So I'm going to put up a few thoughts, hoping to see if it makes a difference. Do let me know when you can see the screen so that I can start my presentation. Can everyone see me and see the presentation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here we go. So we want to be an entrepreneur, right? But we need to know that there's a huge checklist, you know. There is a strict criteria for becoming an entrepreneur, and which is something that people have to adhere to. I'm sure people don't want to listen to this checklist and check whether they want to do it or not, or they're going to be an entrepreneur or not. But having said that, rules are rules. So let's go. You should be falling in a very narrow age bracket, and that age bracket is from 3 years to 100 years. Only if you are in this 3-year to 100-year age bracket can you become an entrepreneur. If you are under 3 years old, over 100 years old, I'm not so sure. Let's see this guy. It's a very ordinary video. I'm sure people who have small kids would have seen this video one way or the other. I'm just going to let it play for a minute.
Are you ready? Yeah. On your mark, get set, let's battle. This case is so wobbly. Get over here. I'll run away from my head. Hey guys, ready for me to win? Ready? All right. Round one, go to Daddy! All right, guys, so that was round one. You guys ready for round two? Yeah! Mark, set, battle! What? It's so loud? Sorry, Daddy. All right, that's fine. 3-1, right? Yep. Cool. Okay. Round two goes to Ryan. Yeah. Right, guys. Round three.
Now it's an ordinary YouTube video. I actually, courtesy YouTube, I was able to see this video. There's nothing particularly remarkable about it, except for this little one over here, whose name is Ryan, and he's around 8 years old. Now let's look at another story.
Welcome to Ryan's world. Apparently, it is Ryan's world, and we all just live in it. 9-year-old Ryan Kaji is the highest paid YouTuber of 2020, according to Forbes. Between June 1st of 2019 and June 1st, 2020, Ryan has earned an estimated $29.5 million. This is the 3rd year in a row that his channel, Ryan's World, has beat out all the competition for the top spot.
This is Missouri. Emma. Capital, Jefferson City.
Ryan's World started on YouTube as Ryan's Toy Review in 2015. Some videos still center around toys, but playlists now include Ryan's DIY science experiments and educational videos.
And more, and more, and more.
There is more. Forbes says the bulk of his business comes from licensing deals for more than 5,000 Ryan's World products. Making kid-friendly content was not enough for the 9-year-old mogul. Ryan's World has expanded into his own line of toys and clothing and a television show on Nickelodeon.
What the heck, guys? Do you hate me?
With an estimated $24 million in earnings, YouTube certainly isn't hating on Jimmy Donaldson or his channel, Mr. Beast. But he is in second place to a 9-year-old.
Yay! I won!
For Inside Edition Digital, I'm TC Newman.
Interesting, isn't it? I was introduced to Ryan by my 7-year-old daughter, who found his videos quite funny. And the more I saw, the more amazed I was that here is a 3-year-old kid who started off when he was 3.5 years old, opening up packages of boxes of toys and making money out of it. It was so incredulous that I wouldn't believe it myself until I checked the story. And it was amazing to see that a kid who loves doing what he is doing has turned that love into a business and is making $29 million on YouTube. And is incidentally not only YouTube's highest paid star, but it's also YouTube's youngest highest paid star. This is a great example in why entrepreneurship doesn't have an age. Now we've seen one side of the spectrum where a 3-year-old can make money. Let's look at the other side of the spectrum. I'm sure this is a name everybody's familiar with.
When Colonel Sanders was only 6 years old, his father passed away. Because his mother had to work very hard to provide for the family, she was gone all day, and the young boy was left home to take care of his siblings. So at the age of 6, he started cooking and taking care of the family. And by the age of 7, he was already a skilled cook. When he was 10, he began working on a farm. 2 years later, his mother remarried to a violent man who didn't like the kids. Sanders dropped out of school and at the age of 13 left home and took a job painting horse carriages. At 15, he even joined the US Army. When he was 18, he got married and started a family. He had a son and 2 daughters, but sadly his son died very young and the marriage fell apart soon after. Colonel Sanders spent the first half of his life working many odd jobs. He was selling insurance. He was selling tires. He was a farmer, steamboat pilot, secretary, lawyer. He was operating a ferry boat and many other. He was known for not being able to keep a job for a longer period of time, so he was fired very often. So if you think you haven't found your calling yet, it wasn't until the age of 40 that Colonel Sanders began selling his chicken dishes inside a gas station. And his business became more and more popular that it became a 140-seat restaurant. In the next decade, he developed his secret recipe for frying chicken. But at the age of 65, his restaurant went broke. And for the first time in his life, he had to sign for Social Security. So he was 65, retired, and broke. But he never stopped believing in his dream. So he didn't give up. He used his first Social Security check of only $105 and traveled across the United States in search of potential business partners, offering them his secret recipe. It was one of the hardest periods of his life. He was living in his car, surviving with little food, facing rejection after rejection. But giving up was never an option. Colonel Sanders was rejected 1,009 times before his chicken recipe was accepted only once. Soon, Colonel Sanders had 600 franchises selling his Kentucky Fried Chicken.
So there you have it. A gentleman who was refused 1,009 times and started his business when he was 65 years old. And today KFC, as we know it as, is valued at just over $5.1 billion. That's roughly 35,000 crores. All of this by a 65-year-old broke man who really started business after normally everyone retires. And here we have on the left hand side of the page a boy who has made more money than at his age, when most people don't even know how to count very well. So really, if you have to fall in a bracket between 3 to 100, then that's your secret recipe for becoming an entrepreneur. Let's look at another qualifying criteria. You should either be rich or you should either be poor. If you're not rich or you're not poor, you can't be an entrepreneur. Let's look at Bill Gates. Well, Bill Gates had a fat purse to start with. His mom introduced him to executives at IBM, which helped him forge a deal with his first operating MS-DOS system. And the rest, as everyone knows, is Windows history. Let's look at Bezos. Well, for the richest man in the world at multiple points of time, Bezos did not start off poor. He was rich. And his parents actually were the earlier investors in Amazon. And everybody knows Elon Musk by now. But he did come from a very wealthy South African background, and he had Ivy League education. Well, he went on to head Tesla. The rest is history. Mark Zuckerberg, the famous Facebook guy, took a $100,000 loan from his father to start Facebook. He came from wealth as well. Nike founder, Phil Knight, again an Ivy League guy, took help from his parents to start the company. They are all billionaires today, but they started off with somewhat of a silver spoon in their mouths. But having said that, there is another end of the spectrum, people who have come from nothing. Jack Ma, who was a teacher, failed in his university entrance exam twice, but he went on to form Alibaba. Then there's Howard Schultz. He's the guy who gives us great coffees. And before he founded Starbucks, he was working in multiple areas for small time jobs, and so were his parents. We can't forget Dhirubhai Ambani, who was again a son of a village school teacher. His father and his mother were poor folk, but look what Reliance is today. So this was a person, a son of the soil, who came up from nothing, and today his son is among the richest people in the world. Narayan Murthy, extremely well educated but coming from a very poor background, went on to head Reliance. Larry Ellison, the founder of Oracle, who was given to relatives to raise early on, also became the CEO of Oracle. Now, this slide actually tells me that you don't need to have a rich or a poor background to be an entrepreneur. You can be rich, you can be poor, you can be middle income, you can be low income, you can be anything. But you can still be an entrepreneur. Let's look at another criteria. You should be educated or you shouldn't be educated. Only for one of these two will you be an entrepreneur. Let's look at the guy who gave us extremely great Nike shoes. He was a Stanford graduate, where only the top 1% people in the world get admission. He wrote a paper titled, "Can Japanese Sports Shoes Do to German Sports Shoes What Japanese Cameras Did to German Cameras?" And that's exactly what he did. After forming Blue Ribbon Sports, he went on to procure shoes from China, branded them under Nike, and gave the German shoes a run for their money. Today, Nike is worth $34.8 billion, and its logo is one of the most recognized and respected in the world. This came from Ivy League education. On the other hand, there is a brand called Zara, which a lot of colleagues over the world will recognize for its great designs and fantastic prices. Comes from a person who was Mr. Ortega, born in Spain. He left school at the age of 14 and basically went on to make shoes by hand, make clothes by hand. And he's the founder of the group of Zara. And today Zara has $68.3 billion, making him the 6th wealthiest person in the world. So there you have it. You need Ivy League education or you don't need education. If you fall in one of these two spectrums, you can be an entrepreneur. Let's look at, so as I said, there's a checklist, and only if you tick these 3 or 4 boxes can you be an entrepreneur. Not everyone can be an entrepreneur. Back home, I was looking at a few examples, and I came across a good friend, Dheeraj's quote, and he was the one who gave me this quote. He said, Umesh, there are some vada pav guys who sell vada pavs to fund an MBA education, and that's a great story. But you know what's an even greater story? There are those who do the MBA and sell vada pavs for a living and turn it into a great business. So that's Dheeraj right there, and there is his wife, and there's the founder and CEO of Gori Vada Pav, Mr. Venkatesh Iyer. Now these are great examples because nobody would have thought of branding a vada pav and turning it into $1 million business. But these gentlemen, purely fueled by the love of vada pavs, decided that no, I think if McDonald's burgers can be great, why can't Mumbai vada pavs be great? And there you have it. Somebody has turned a normal business into a great business. And that is essentially the spirit of entrepreneurship. So start. What's stopping you? You could be wrong, but then you've been wrong before. And the world didn't come crashing down, was it? You survived. And that is the key thing to understand in entrepreneurship. That this is a business of success and failure, and you have to take success and failure in your stride just as you take an ordinary day in your stride. Think back of a time where you were doing something that you had not done before. You failed and you felt dejected. But I'm sure when you look back in your lives, you would have seen that you picked yourself up, dusted off your dirt, and started doing things again. Whether it was riding a bicycle or learning how to brush your teeth or learning how to speak. At every moment in time when you have learned something, you have faced failure. But nothing happened, right? You took a few knocks, you fell down, you got up, and you went on your daily business. And that, if you have that spirit, and that's all that's needed to be an entrepreneur, you just need to start. See where it takes you. Go ahead. Fail, learn, repeat till you get it right. And that's the mantra all the entrepreneurs in the world will tell you that they have been through. That is the common uniting thread. And always remember this, and this I say from personal experience, you will always grow when you move out of your comfort zone. It is extremely difficult to move out of your comfort zone. It's an area you've not been before. It's a thing you've not done before. It's a thing that scares you. It's a thing that you don't know how it's going to turn out. All of these things are stepping out of your comfort zone. But the moment you step out of the comfort zone, you have done something which is unknown. You've done something which is not done before. You have tested limits that you did not feel you had before. You have pushed boundaries which you felt you couldn't break. But whenever you look back in your life and you've seen that part where you've stepped out of your comfort zone, you will realize that you have grown. Not only have you grown, you have thrived. And you have been richer and enriched by that experience so well that it has helped you push those boundaries even further. It's good to fail. And sometimes it is necessary to fail. And this part of failure is something that a lot of kids today are very, very scared to do. It's okay. You could be wrong. You can go wrong multiple times. It's okay. And sometimes if you haven't failed, you haven't really succeeded. And these are the 3 lines I want everyone to keep in mind. You can be wrong. It's good to fail. And always remember, when you go down that road, you are only going to grow. So start. Once you start, you will realize that the world is waiting for you to be an entrepreneur. And why do I say this? Let me take you back to a bit of the private equity world where I come from. It's a world which is waiting for great entrepreneurs. In fact, if you read these lines, the fact remains that fund managers have more dry powder, red free cash at their disposal than at any time in PE's history. This is circa $1.7 trillion, which is there in cash, which continues to pressure firms to be creative. This comes from the 2021 Global Private Equity Outlook. These are latest figures. What is $1.7 trillion? It's more than the GDP of many countries combined. That is the amount of money the private equity firms have not been able to invest in businesses. That basically means that's money lying in the bank account of private equity guys who are looking for great entrepreneurs to give them money. For anybody who felt that there's no money chasing their dreams, always remember this number. This is a number that could be yours if you have a great idea. The only thing that is waiting for that money to come to you is communicating your idea to a guy who's willing to invest. And this is the world over. And this has been the highest ever in the last 10 years, which means as of today, there are people who are willing to give you cash the moment you go and take them a free idea. In fact, not only they are willing to give you cash, they are pressured to give you cash because they are sitting on cash which they have to necessarily deploy. Imagine the kind of pressure, not having money, but imagine the kind of pressure having money and not knowing what to do with it. They are having a bigger problem than you. So what are you waiting for? Not only that, you will have tons of advice. You will have a guide, you will have every step of the way, you will have so much advice that you won't know what to do with it. You will be amazed to see stuff which you never thought would be available to you be there at your door, at your door, be there at your fingertips, telling you, look, if you're going to have a problem doing this, this is the solution. If you're going to have a problem doing this, this is the solution. Heck, for people who don't even have ideas, there are websites that give you what are the 20 ideas. If you decide, no, this is an idea, there are websites that give you what is a great, how do you become great in that business idea. Not only which business do you start, once you start, what are the 5 things that you'll have to keep in mind? What are the raw materials that you're going to require? What are the 5-6 things that you'll have to keep in place for that business to start? Once you start that business, how are you going to get money? How are you going to communicate? How are you going to set up your marketing plan? How are you going to set up your website? Can you set up your website for free? Can you go on to a government scheme that gives you a subsidy that sets up your business? Can you go to the government that gives you assured business? All of this is going to be there at your fingertips. Each one of these links, if I go to, let's say, NSIC project profiles, there are at least 50 to 60 project profiles per page telling you, if let's say I want to set up a rubber manufacturing unit, what is the capital outlay required? What is the time that's going to take? What is the gestation period? Where can I get the money from? Which are the schemes of the government that I can use to ensure that my small business is going to get assured revenue from the government and it's going to get assured business from the government. Not only that, if you are one person trying to set up an entire operation, what are the 5-6 things that you need? What are the project management toolkits? What are the business template toolkits? How do you apply for a bank loan? What do you do once you have a bank loan? How do you ensure working capital? All of that is available. In fact, that kind of help is not available at any other level as much as is available for entrepreneurship. And I think that is a wonderful message to remember, that the only thing that is stopping you from being an entrepreneur is that you are not starting to be an entrepreneur. The moment you start, you will you will be thrown into a world of uncertainty. You will be thrown into a world of risk, but you will also be thrown into a world which is ready to welcome you with open arms, which is ready to help you every step of the way to for you to succeed. Just look how popular the word has become. I was looking at Google for the word entrepreneurship, and there's a surprising chart that came my way. Now, what this chart tells me is this is the time period on the horizontal axis, and on the vertical axis is the number of mentions of the word entrepreneur for books. So basically, between 1980 and 2010, the number of books that I've got written on entrepreneurship have grown exponentially, as you can see in the chart. Let's look at a few other subjects. This is my favorite subject, accounting, and I'm sure it's a favorite subject of a lot of people. But look, this is what happened between 1980 and 2010. The number of books on accounting, or the number of mentions of books of accounting, has exponentially fallen. And it's not only accounting. You will see that across disciplines. Look at economics. This is the number of book mentions in economics that have reduced between 1980 and 2010, or maybe now 2020. So this is the latest graphs. So there you have it. Subjects that you felt were fundamental to growth, especially in the commerce stream, are slowly dying and nobody's noticing it. But look at what's happening to the word entrepreneurship. Look at what's happening to the advice people want to give as entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs. It's growing exponentially. So, as I said, the world is waiting. You just need to step forward. But that step is what you need to take. And that is the essence of being an entrepreneur. It is proactiveness. It's you should want to do something despite the fear that you have of failure. But remember, you bear the risk of that failure more than anyone else. You look back into theoretical definitions of economics, of entrepreneurship, and you will know that entrepreneur is the risk taker. The risk of the enterprise lies with the entrepreneur. But for taking that risk, he is also the one, or he or she is the one that will enjoy the success more than anyone else. So, you have a great idea. If you want to succeed, you need to make that 100 great ideas. And this is a message that a lot of budding entrepreneurs don't realize the importance of. What people do is they get a great idea, they try to capitalize on that great idea, and more often than not it works. But if it doesn't work, then they go back to the drawing board, either dejected, or some of them will basically think of the next idea. But you need to change this mindset of it. You need to have 20 ideas when you come to the drawing board and you say, this is an idea that I think is a great idea. This is that one thing I'm going to work on. This is what is going to make me successful. This is what I'm going to give everything to. But if it doesn't work, I'm going to try the next idea. If that next idea doesn't work, I'm going to try the third idea. If that idea doesn't work, I'm going to try the fourth. I'm going to try the fifth. I'm going to try the sixth. I'm going to try the seventh. And I'm going to try and try till one of the ideas clicks. Now, I know it sounds very difficult. You know, when you are consumed by a great idea, that idea is your life, is your soul. You live, you breathe it. But it's very difficult letting go of that idea if it doesn't work. I think you should treat ideas like a pages in a book. If that one page is filled, you need to go to the next page. You can't stay on that page anymore. If that idea is not working, you need to move to another idea. If that idea doesn't work, you need to move to another one. And that is essentially when you become an idea factory. And the moment you become an idea factory, you have a book that has got so many blank pages that some of the blank pages is going to produce wonderful poetry. It's going to produce wonderful work. And that's how you start to need to look at businesses. A lot of businesses that started were not original businesses. People started thinking about one business, they eventually became successful in the other. And when they became successful in one, they started another. They closed down. I mean, Apple is a great example of how products have been killed so that products can come up again more beautiful than they were. The mobile industry is an example of how fortunes have fallen. You have countless number of examples where you will see that people have experimented with ideas so much that experimenting with ideas has become the natural order of things. And it's not new, you know. If you go back in history, all great inventors, for instance, Edison, were very, very wedded to this fact that it's not one that will work. It's many that will work. It's some that will work. It may be one in a million. It may be one in 1,000. But the acceptance that I need to work with more is essentially what you need to take with you. And you need to be relentless in your search for problems and ways to solve them. I think all entrepreneurship begins with identifying a problem that needs solving. And you need to figure out what is the best way to solve it and what the best way to get it solved on a continuing basis. That is another fundamental tenet of entrepreneurship. You can't go with a great idea which is not a need for anyone else unless you create that need. So therefore, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you should have a problem mindset. Look at the Vada Pav guys. You know what the problem was? The problem was that people felt that vada pavs are unhygienic. People loved it, but they felt that vada pavs are unhygienic. The moment somebody added the hygiene factor, somebody added supply chain, somebody added standardization, that became such a brilliant idea. Look at ride hailing apps like Ola. Look at ride hailing apps like Uber. They born they began with a very simple idea that people need cabs. They just don't have one single place to go to call for cabs. And look, we've become $1 billion unicorns just by getting the same cab that somebody was taking to ride under a different brand. You were taking those same cabs to work. Now you're taking the same cabs to work. It's just that the name of the company is different. Why? Because somebody figured out that there is a problem here. People are not able to get hold of a, a cab at the time and they don't have one place to go and call cabs. So everybody gets the same place to go and call cabs, and that's where a problem gets solved. I think you can look back at every single great product that's come about. You will see that it has solved a fundamental need or a fundamental problem somebody had. Look at Google. Nobody knew how to search the internet until Google came along. And now nobody knows any other way to search. And in fact, people are aping exactly what Google has done. It's very difficult to realize that before Google, it was a nightmare trying to search the internet. But now the problem has been solved. It's so difficult to imagine the problem anymore. And that's how beautifully people have solved problems. If you solve a problem and get a lot of people to buy into the idea, it's fantastic. Look at WhatsApp. People wanted a way to communicate. There was messaging, but the response to the message, the little blue tick, has made so much of a difference that WhatsApp got valued at number of billions of dollars. Look for problems and look for your mindset of solving problems. Have 20 problems in your head, have 20 solutions. Those are your 20 great ideas. Pivot and pivot continuously till you hit the right note. Now, what do I mean by pivot? It's a very simple word to understand. Pivot means moving direction. And why do I say move your direction continuously? It's easy to say, it's very difficult to do. You see, when you are consumed with a single idea, it's very difficult to change track. It's very difficult to move in another direction to see if it's very difficult to break things and build them up again. Think like you're building a house of cards. You've reached the 8th level in building the house of cards and everything falls down. And you feel frustrated. But it's that frustration that keeps you back. As an entrepreneur, you should be ready to build another house of cards. You should try this design, you should try that design, till you get a design that works. And it's that mindset of openness to change, willingness to change, that gives you that edge as an entrepreneur. Because what you do in essence is you go ahead where most people would not. Most people would get get dejected and sit there and leave that idea. But you would try and figure out another way of doing it. You would try and figure out a better way of doing it. You try and figure out somebody who's done it in a better way, and you are using that method to solve another problem. Adopt that mindset of continuous change, and you will see that you are already a different person. Use a minimum viable product as a starting point. I'm going to talk about this minimum viable product a little later, but the idea is that in order to be successful, you don't need to achieve big, you need to achieve small. And let's see what that means. And this is an example that people would have come across in a lot of uh, software environments. People have heard the term lean, agile, but we are applying this in a very different context. And this is very interesting because one of the projects that I did involved this very heavily, and it was a great idea to understand. So you want to build a car, build a skateboard instead. Now, what do you mean by this? Well, if we need a car, we should build a car, right? Shouldn't we build a skate? Why should we build a skateboard? Well, there are two ways of building a car. You either draw blueprints for a car, you start manufacturing a car, and you build a car, and you sell the car and you make money. The other way of doing it is to look at a car a little differently. Say, why do people want a car? Actually, people want a car because they want to get from point A to point B faster. It is the inherent need of transportation that you are solving when you are making a car. Well, that inherent need of transportation can be solved by something small, and it can be solved by a skateboard. It can be solved by a scooter. It can be solved by a bike. It can be solved by a motorbike. And then it can be solved by a car. Now, what happens when you use this example? You see, what happens is the stages are the same, the time is the same, but in one case, you have a ready product in stage one, which is your skateboard. But in the other, you just have a wheel. It's not only in the first stage, you get to the car only in stage 4. And from stage 1 to stage 4, you will spend years, if not months, in developing the product. So what does that do? What it does is it tells you the success of your product only after the entire cycle is over, after a lot of time has elapsed. But in the case of a skateboard, you will know in stage 1 if this product is going to work or not. If it works, that success will not only give you the hope that the product is a great product, it will not only give you the test that the product is a great product, you will have experimented with it, you will also get feedback as you go along, and you will also know what are the improvements that you need to do right in this first stage. Imagine trying to build a car and then you realize that you've got the tires wrong only after the car is run. But in the case of a skateboard, you will know the tires are wrong right in the first stage. And that is the empowerment this kind of analysis gives you, or this kind of way of looking at things gives you. You need to basically go out, get something that we call a minimal viable product out in the market, test it for a fraction of the cost that you would have normally tested it, and then go ahead and run with it. So that by the time you come ahead with the car, you know that it's a product that's going to work. Focus on the underlying need the customer wants fulfilled. I need to get from point A to point B. And only when you focus on the underlying need can you develop a product that's going to be great? Let's go on further. And therefore, as you keep going, you use the environment around you to your advantage. You use everything that you can use in your product, your idea to help you. You should be able to get your environment around you to assist you in one way or the other. There are so many things about an environment that are challenging, but there are also so many things about an environment that are enabling. For example, we when we started out, we used to have a lot of college kids do research for us. It was good fun. We had great bright ideas, but the good part was there was no cost at all, because the college grads got experience and we got research interns, which wouldn't have worked if we had hired a marketing research agency. Now that's using an environment to your advantage, right? When you go out selling your ideas, you reach out to groups of people who have already sold the ideas. You will know that what of the idea works, what of the idea doesn't work. And that's something that's going to be imperative as you are struggling to make ends meet, as you're struggling to stitch your idea together. Make technology your friend and ally. Don't have technology work against you. You make technology work for you. There are innumerable tools available to give you the right impetus for building your product. You'd be surprised at the amount of technology enablement that happens at a small entrepreneurship level. You want a project management website, it's available to you. You want an accounting software that's free, that's available to you. You want interviews with people who have done this business at free of cost, that's available to you. But you just need to reach out and embrace those forms of help. When people are trying to desperately figure out, especially people who have not had a very solid grounding in technology, find adopting technology difficult. But let me tell you, it is just as simple or as difficult as learning any other new thing. You have learned new things in the past. This is also something that you can learn very well. So make technology your friend and ally, and you will know how strong your proposition becomes. You need friends, obviously, but more important than friends, you need enemies. And why do I say that? Because it's the enemies that give you the holes in your project. It's the enemies that give you the shortcomings of your idea, because that's what they're going to capitalize on. And only if you have an enemy who decides that no, this is the weakness of your product, will you ever know that it's a weakness in the first place. Only if something doesn't work will you know how you need to fix it. And it's great, which is why in the startup environment there are no real enemies, there are only competitors. So there are competitors who are great friends because competitors learn from each other and they respect the fact. You come at a place where you are 20 people who are competitors gathering, you'll see them speaking to each other so well, because everybody is hungry to learn from the competitor what the next big idea is or what the shortcoming of their idea is. Embrace that, and you will see that you are not only benefiting from your ideas, but you're benefiting from thousands of ideas around you. And this is a mistake that I've seen a lot of people do. They chase valuation. They build a great idea and they go to the investor and say, you know what, this idea is going to make me so much money that you will be able to sell my business 20 times that you got it. Well, in the valuation game, don't get into the valuation game early. Make a business. If you succeed, you'll realize that money is chasing you rather than you chasing money. You focus on building the successful business. Let the valuation take care of itself. Use a pitch to convince the investor of a cash flow and not valuation. Tell him that I'm going to make money out of this business even if you don't give me the money. So it's your choice if you give me the money or not, because somebody else will the moment I start making money. And that is how you should approach an investor, that you're selling him a great business idea which is going to make tons of money for you and not for him. Only when he's convinced that you are going to make money will he give you the money so that he can make money. Be a great storyteller. I think communication will have a tremendous role in entrepreneurship, because there's a lot of convincing that you have to do. And our next esteemed speaker will tell you all about it. But if I had to underscore one thing in entrepreneurship, it would be your ability to tell a great story. And we've all been great storytellers. We've all been great storytellers of great true facts and great facts which are untrue. We didn't do a homework, we came up with a great story to say why we didn't do a homework. We didn't study, we came up with a great way to say why we got less marks. Or we came up with a great way to speak about our achievements. All of that has been underscored by our ability to tell stories. And we've been telling stories since we were children. And we've been listening to great stories that we were children. I think we need to accept and embrace that aspect about communication. Because when you go out, you sell your products, you will have to tell a story of why that product solves a problem. Whenever you go out and solve challenges, you have to tell a story of why that challenge should not be there. Whenever you go out and get money for your business, you have to tell a story about how great your business is. Only if you're a big and a great storyteller will you be able to do these more effortlessly. And we are. We've just not thought about telling stories for products. But if you go world over, you look at all entrepreneurs, you will realize that they are passionate about the stories they tell, because it's those stories that have made them, and it's those stories that stick with you. But most of all, be yourself, because it's going to take all of your effort, it's going to take all of your wits, it's going to take all of your time and strength to be an entrepreneur. And you can't give it all if you're not yourself. You can't be somebody else and give all your effort, wits, and strength, because the amount of effort it will take just to be somebody else is going to be so huge. Look at Ryan that I talked about in the earlier example. He was a kid. He was being himself, but he figured out a great idea of being himself and being an entrepreneur at the same time. All successful entrepreneurs have been themselves. There is something so innate to entrepreneurship that you cannot put a pretense to it. If you have to make a business, you have to make it out of who you are, and who you are is enough. You just need to figure out an innovative way of doing it. But there's nothing that you don't have. There's if you look at the checklist that I've talked about earlier, you'll realize that there is nothing stopping you from becoming an entrepreneur but you. But you will have to want to do it. Learn to collaborate. Learn to reach out to people to help. And you'll realize that more help is available than not. Learn to corroborate. Check facts before moving ahead. Even the slightest of checks can make a huge difference in your business idea or your product or your service or your ability to garner success for your business. Test and test frequently. It's a bit like the pivot idea that I talked about. If you test frequently before you move ahead, it helps a lot. It stops you from having problems that you would have earlier easily avoided, but later on it'd be very difficult to get rid of. You're more likely to succeed with a hedged bet. And this is something that's always been a question, and a big question for people. A lot of people feel that they have to give up on their current work to become entrepreneurs. Well, that's not the fact. Research says that people who have actually started businesses as a part-time second business have gone on to become far more successful than people who have left everything and started their own business. Now that may seem like counterintuitive suggestion, but why does it work? It works on two counts. One is that you have a safety net to start with. So even if you do make a mistake, you have something to fall back on. Second is that you will do only the essential things that are needed to be done. You will not bother around with stuff that is not essential. When you have less time, you will do only things that are important. It's like preparing for an exam. When you have less time, you tend to gravitate towards stuff that is going to be important. It's the same thing in business. When there's less time, you're going to gravitate towards things that are important. And when it is something that you are doing side by side, you will have enough of a safety net to fall back on. Lot of entrepreneurs have done this. In fact, most of successful entrepreneurs who have done it have always started off this as one of the ideas. They already had an idea that was working for them. They started this as a separate idea, and that separate idea became so big that they had to let go of the main thing that they were doing. And that is essentially an easier way of doing it. But yes, it puts pressure on your time, but in the end, it gives you those rewards as well. And now a personal favorite to round things off. I always, I've always been amazed at the amount of knowledge that's available on entrepreneurship, and it's come in funny ways in more than once. My journey as an entrepreneur began way back when I was in school, and my first lesson in entrepreneurship came way back when I was in school as well. I was I was preparing for an exam that I had not studied at all. So I had an exam the next day for which I had never studied. I never attended a single day's class. I didn't know what books were available, and I didn't know who the teacher was. All I knew is I had to give an exam. And guess what? That exam was on entrepreneurship. So how did I ace the entrepreneurship exam without even studying for it? So this is exactly what happened. I had to give two exams. The first exam was my CA exam, and the second exam was my entrepreneurship exam. And obviously, the world would know that I would have studied for the CA exam and not the entrepreneurship exam. So this is what I did. I went to the library. I got a book on entrepreneurship 2 hours before the exam, just to see what the book looks like. And here I am sitting on the desk, opening the book. I still remember it was Hisrich, the author, and the book was titled Entrepreneurship. I just opened the page, and on the first page, it said, Entrepreneurship is the art of taking risks and innovating. And that was the only thing that was written on the page, because that was how Hisrich had defined it. He said, Entrepreneurship is the art of taking risks and innovating. I looked at the definition for 10 minutes, unable to take my eyes off it, because there's something in my mind that struck so well, and it struck till today. I've not seen the book since then, but this is what I did. I closed the book and I went and gave the exam, and I took risks and innovated, because I felt if that is what entrepreneurship means, then all you need to do is you need to take risks and innovate. And I still remember the professor handing me out a certificate for getting the highest marks in entrepreneurship. And I always give this example to students. On the day of the exam, people who are not prepared, I give them this example because this is something that I have seen through. I've been through that fear and I've conquered it. And I've realized that all you need is your ability to take risks and innovate if you want to succeed in this endeavor. Thank you so much. I think I may have finished a little early, but I believe, I hope that you have found enough and more in these words, and I hope they've given you the right amount of leverage and strength to take a few ideas and move forward. Thank you. Open to questions, Swati ma'am and Ziva ma'am.
Yes, yes, sir. At present, there are no questions, sir. I will just wait. Well, Umesh, sir, there is one question which we need to ask you. So many a times entrepreneurs who are, raising for startups, they face problems for raising funds. So are there any such, schemes available or something wherein they can get the fundings to be done?
That's a great question, Swati. I think that's a question that has plagued a lot of people. Now, you'd be surprised at the amount of areas that are available for funding. There's early stage funding, there's late stage funding, there's funding that's available when somebody else has funded you and somebody wants to step into the shoes of the person who's funded you. The simplest place, for instance, if you want to be a small entrepreneur, is to go to SIDBI's website. SIDBI's got a fund which funds small entrepreneurs. You just need to go and convince the people over there about an idea, and they'll be happy to lend you 1 crore, or they'll be happy to give you 1 crore of startup capital. In fact, most of it is a grant. You don't even have to pay that money back. It's just money that's given to you to come up and start a business if that idea works for you. I'll give you an example. I'm going to show you something. Tell me if you're able to see the screen, and I can show you now where you can go and get money.
Yes, sir. Your screen is visible.
Let's go to my presentation where I talked about an entrepreneur here who talked about Andrew Wilkinson. So Andrew Wilkinson is a guy who's a founder of Meta Lab, and they have a venture called I Do Tiny, if I'm not mistaken. Tiny Capital. And look at what the website says. We have ideas about how businesses should be run. Look at this. We buy wonderful internet businesses. For a decade, we've been partnering with founders to give them quick, straightforward exits and protect their team and culture. Selling your business is a miserable task. We make it easy. And it's interesting because these guys cut away all the red tape. If you have a software business that makes sense, they will buy it in a month. They'll buy it in a month. They'll give you all the money that you need. Not only that, if you know, if I'm a guy who goes to them with a great idea, they pay me money as well. So it may not be my idea. It may be somebody else's idea. I may just be introducing them to a great business. I will get paid, let alone the guy who's going and pitching them the business idea. This is one place. I'll show you something closer to home. So this is basically SIDBI's venture capital fund. It basically gives equity capital to small businesses. Now, these are just two. I mean, if you look, you will find thousands of such places that are ready to hand out capital. All you need to do is very simple. You need to figure out what your top 10 sources are, build a great pitch for your idea, reach out to them, and 1 out of the 10 will respond. And more likely than not, the moment the guy responds, you can be sure that you'll get the money. In fact, getting money has never been easier. It's more difficult to take a loan than it is to get private equity nowadays. So it's just a question of going out there and pitching yourself. And that's it. That's all you need to do.
So we have one more question here. Question from Shubham Lal. He's like, how to become an entrepreneur in an early age, in a small age. Tips to become an entrepreneur in an early age.
Well, there is no age to become an entrepreneur. You can become an entrepreneur when you are 3 years old. So, is the question on how to become an entrepreneur, or is the question on what business do you want to do at a small age?
No,
because I believe
the question is asked like that, sir, how to become an entrepreneur in a small age, and further the question is, what are the tips should I start with it?
Okay. So how do you become an entrepreneur at a small age is exactly the way you become an entrepreneur when you are at a large age. So whether you are 65 or whether you're 3, you become an entrepreneur exactly the same way. You figure out a problem, you try to find the solution, and you find it in the best possible manner. Take Ryan's example. What was Ryan doing? He was just opening toys. Okay. All he was doing is he was telling somebody when they opened a toy that maybe the toy is good, maybe the toy is not good. And that's something that every kid does, right? Even as a kid, Shubham would have got toys, he would have opened up. Some of them would have been good, some of them would have been bad. But Ryan figured out that exactly by doing this and telling the world whether it's good or bad, somebody's going to pay him for it. And today, as a result of doing that, he gets $26 million. It was just that simple. He was doing what every other kid does. He just decided to turn that into a business idea. So all you do is you look at everything that you do around you. You figure out what is a problematic task and whether you can give a solution to it. Look at the vada pav seller. Kiraj had his US friend come to him and say bad things about a vada pav, which he couldn't bear. He said, you guys are sitting in the US, you eat your burgers and stuff like that. You believe that's hygienic? Our vada pavs are hygienic. I'm going to show you that. And out of that, Jid became a great Jumbo King vada pav item because he couldn't bear the thought of somebody insulting a vada pav, and he turned it into a franchise. He made $5,000 on the first day he set up that vada pav stall. It was that simple. But everybody sells it. But nobody thinks of, oh, what, I'm an MBA, let me not sell vada pavs. I think you need to start embracing that philosophy of opening yourself up to ideas and opening yourself up to problems and ways to solve them. And I'm sure you'll become an entrepreneur faster than you imagine you could.
All right. So next question is, this question is about collaboration. And the question is like, can you suggest how to collaborate? As whenever I tried collaborating on my last 1-year journey of entrepreneurship, I often found that people are just collaborating to extract from me. Question by Hina Shah.
Yeah. Well, that is the nature of collaboration. People will collaborate with you only if they feel you have value to offer. Because that's the very reason you are collaborating, isn't it? You're collaborating because you want some value from somebody else. So the other person will collaborate with you only if you have value to offer. Otherwise, they're not going to collaborate with you, right? There is one of my gurus has given me wonderful advice. Ask this question: what's in it for me? If you ask that question of a collaborator and you go and collaborate with him, thinking what's in it for him or what's in it for her, you'll realize that you will have value to get value. So first, make yourself valuable for advice, so that when you go and collaborate with others, you will form stronger bonds. I'll give you an example. So we have collaborated all the time when we have made notes in school, right? There was some guy who was good at accounts. There was some guy who was good at economics. Guy accounts said, you know what, you teach me accounts, I'm going to teach you economics. That was your first step for collaboration. And it's exactly the same in business. You will be able, you need to find out what is the value you had to offer, who's going to collaborate with you for it. And then you that the bonds you build are even stronger. Even today, 20 years back, the entrepreneurs that I've spoken to speak to me today for small problems that I had solved back then. Even today, I reach out to them. I'm not building a business, but if they run into a problem, they know exactly where to reach out. And those are bonds you will build for life. It's like getting an advisor for life. Don't give up on the opportunity. You have tried for 1 year. Try for 1 year more.
All right, sir. The next question is, so how can I test my idea and product to figure out if it would work in the market?
Make a small prototype and put it out in the market. Simple. So I'll give you an example where I've seen a couple of people test a particular idea. You know, in our college where I used to teach, there was this one gentleman who came up with a bright idea of making jigsaw puzzle. The only thing that he did was, instead of a usual picture, he decided to put verses of the Bhagavad Gita on it. So all he did is he went to a person who makes jigsaw puzzles. He improved the quality of the jigsaw puzzle just that bit, so that it was made with hardboard and it was not made with cardboard. So it became a beautiful puzzle to solve. Not only did it become a beautiful puzzle to solve because there was a wonderful verse of the Gita on it. We gave it to all parents to give it to children. Because you see, what happens is when everybody solves the jigsaw puzzle, nobody gets anything out of it other than reading the jigsaw puzzle, other than solving it. But when you get a message from the Gita on it, a lot of parents will buy it for their children. So here was a toy that the children didn't want for their parents, but the parents wanted it for the children. And he made what, 20, 30 pieces, and he just gave it out. But you won't believe, once 20, 30 pieces were made, the number of corporates that came to him for making more of it was phenomenal. And he just said, it's a jigsaw puzzle, but got a wonderful ground to test it. So you could figure out ideas like that. You could partner with somebody. So let's say somebody's go to a radio station. Somebody's one, offer that as your free gift. Test your product like that. Make small lots of it, sell parts of it, sell ideas of it, and you will figure out that there are many ways of testing these products. In fact, there are websites like Kickstarter where you can just raise the money even if before you started the product. And then if you don't make the money, you can give the money back. But if you do in more ways than not, you will realize that your ideas get sold out within days, even before you started manufacturing. So use those platforms. They're freely available.
All right, sir. So next question, is there any common path where every entrepreneur should undertake to go from zero to market, reducing it with the risk of failure?
Yeah. Well, there is a common path that every entrepreneur should take. But just remember that path is going to be unique to you. Your journey is going to be different from somebody else's journey. It is the same route, but it's not the same road. The steps are the same. The path may be easy, the path may be difficult. If you go from zero market and you want to reduce the risk of failure, you need to figure out how do you test your product early? How do you ensure that the risk of failure is identified early in your journey? You don't want to take a 1,000-mile journey and on the 1,000th mile you realize that you are on the wrong road. You take the road, test it further, go a little further, come back, go a little further, come back to see if this is the right road you're taking. Test your products frequently, which is why I always stress upon the idea of a minimal viable product. If you have identified the need that you want to solve, what is the fastest and the cheapest way of solving the need and bringing that product to the market is your minimum viable product. If you have figured out solving the need in a cheap way, then you will know what are the pitfalls you're going to have in solving the need eventually. So if you want the common path is testing, pivoting, and coming up with a minimum viable product. That is one way of reducing risk of failure. Another way of reducing risk of failure is don't put all your eggs in one basket. Have 20 different ideas. If one idea fails, you should have the other 19 to work with equal perseverance. You can't say that I'm going to give 95% of my effort to one idea and 5% to the other. It will not work. You have to give 100% to the first idea. You have to give 100% to the next idea and probably 120% to the third idea, because that's the one that may work. So do those. I'm sure you won't go wrong. You'll go wrong few times, but the moment you start going right, then there will be no looking back.
Yes, sir. Next question is with respect to the ideas only. But what kind of ideas work best for continuous earning process? By Samir Kambe, sir.
Okay. What kind of ideas work best for continuing earning process? See, entrepreneurship is like growing a tree. You don't get money steadily. The basic definition of entrepreneurship is risk taking. You are taking a risk every step of the way. If you need continuous earning to start with, then you shouldn't be in entrepreneurship. You should be doing a salary job. That salary job is going to give you that continuous earning process. Only when you give up on that continuing earning process and you take that risk is the one. So there is no idea that will work for continuous earning process until and unless you have perfected it. After you have perfected it, every idea is a continuous earning process. So rather than looking for an idea that gives you continuous process and then evaluating it and then running with it, you need to run with the idea first and then ensure that it is a continuous learning process or earning process. So it's the other way around. It's not a great idea that gives you continuous earning process. It's only if you make the idea great that it becomes a continuous earning process. So think of it in that term. You need to you work with an idea, and any idea, if you work with well, will become a continuous earning process.
All right. So next question is: if we launch a new product, then how to build trust within people?
Well, it's very simple. When you go to a new job, how do you build your trust with your boss? You do things well, right? Only by doing things well, when launching a new product, you will build trust with people. And let me share an example that I've seen. You see, business is built on trust, and it is retained on continuous trust. Why is it that you can go to a McDonald's burger and assume that if you go to a McDonald's burger in town in Worli, or if you go to a McDonald's burger in Andheri, or you go to a McDonald's burger in Goregaon, the taste is going to be the same? Because that's exactly what McDonald's has stood up for. Right? They say that you go anywhere in the world, our burgers are going to taste the same. So the question is, what do you want to be trusted for? Do you want to be trusted for a great product? Do you want to be trusted for a great service delivery? Do you want to be trusted for something a product that does better than others? You figure out what that unique selling proposition of that product is. advertise it and say, this is what I stand for. And don't ensure that you don't slip up on that one parameter. Once you've built trust on that one single parameter, then you can go ahead and build trust on multiple parameters. I'll give you a classic example. You know who has done this very well? Zomato has done this very well. You look back and see how Zomato was formed. What did they do? All they did is they got few people and they got a big photocopier, a big color photocopier. They made scanned copies of menus and they put it up on the website. And that's all it was. It was a place where you could look for and search for restaurants and you could call the restaurants. That's all Zomato used to do. Today, you can't imagine ordering without Zomato, right? Or Swiggy or whatever those matter. But there was a point of time where Zomato was doing nothing but putting scanned copies of menus on their website. It was just a simple website. But you know what Zomato did right? And I remember the communication Zomato had put out. They said, we will always give you fresh menus. We will not give you old menus. The phone number will always be right. The prices will always be right. And that is the trust that they said that they will withhold, that they will uphold. And only because people said, okay, you know what, this is not an old menu. The price is right. I know this is the guy. I will always be able to reach a restaurant on this number. And that was the first stage of trust they built. There was nothing. It's very simple, right? All somebody had to do was, if there were 200 restaurants, those guys had to keep going to restaurants every week. Say, "Tumhara menu mein change hua hai kya?" If there's any other change in the menu, just get the new menu, scan it, upload it. That's all you had to do. It was very simple to build that trust. You just had to keep doing the same thing again and again and again. But look what that got Zomato. Today, it's become kind of a go-to place for ordering food. So much so that they're thinking of putting restaurants of their own at some point of time. So that's how you build trust, right? You do small things right, stand up for it, say, this is the right thing I'm doing. You will never be able to slip up. I will never slip up on Conte on this. And that's how you will be able to build those trust. It's just the first trust you need to build. The next is essentially the same thing over and over again.
So, next question. How to get a great name for startup?
Okay. There is no great name for a startup. I'm going to give you an example that I heard once. I'm sure everybody's heard of Bagh Bakri Chai, right?
Yes, sir.
Now let me tell you how the name of Bagh Bakri Chai came into being. The gentleman who was making Bagh Bakri Chai went to a Guruji. He had great faith in that Guruji, and he went and told him that, Guruji, I cannot think of a name for my tea. I don't know what it will work. I am not a creative fellow, and please help me. You are my guru. Please help me keep a name for the product. And he didn't tell the guru that it's tea, right? So this is what the guru said. So I'm going to say this in Gujarati. The guru said, make a product je wag ane bakri sathe jame. So that was the line the guru used. That think of a product that a lion and a goat can have together. And that's what he named the product. He named it Bagh Bakri Chai. And even if you see today the Bagh Bakri Chai, it has image of a lion and a goat drinking tea together. Now it is the most incredulous name for a tea. Nobody will even think of naming a tea Bagh Bakri Chai, but it did well, right? So it's okay. There's nothing in a name. There's no great name for a startup. You getting me? It's you can name it you can name it Ritesh, and that's it. It could be Ritesh's product. You could call it Ritesh's product. Just make it great. People will remember you for it.
True, sir. Next question. To lower the risk in business, what steps should be taken before and after?
That's the $1 million question, isn't it? To lower the risk in the business,
yes, sir.
What steps should be taken before? Let me answer this question first. You need to lower the risk in business first. If you haven't lowered the risk in the business, do not go ahead with it. Because entrepreneurship is all about taking the right risk. You need to take the risk, but you need to lower the risk. So, it's like, imagine that you are sitting on a fence where grass is greener on one side and less greener on the other. You can't keep sitting on the fence. It'll hurt. You need to jump onto a side, even if there is less grass. It doesn't matter. The point is that you cannot be indecisive. You have to decide, which means you have to take that risk. The question is, how do you reduce that risk? So first is, I will have to take that risk. And you know what will happen? It's going to be funny. When you actually make up your mind to take that risk, you will realize there are 10 risk mitigants that are already appearing in front of you. You are not reducing that risk because you're not taking it. Only when you decide to take it, you will actually get serious about reducing it. And once you get serious about reducing it, you need to figure out what is the biggest risk. Get the big things right first. The small things will take care of themselves. What is the biggest risk? Let's assume you don't know if the product is going to succeed. That is a risk. How do you ensure that you know this before you start building the product, that this product is going to succeed? Make a test run of the product. See if that product is working with a group of people. Now, which group of people? You go to a mall, the number of times people hand you out free stuff. They'll tell you, sir, try this, sir, try this. It happens with cosmetics all the time, right? You go to a mall, the moment you start going inside a mall, outside the mall, there'll be some person who's selling some of the other cosmetics, some of the other perfume. What are they doing? They're testing it on a small group of people, right? They have not got production facilities all over. In Dubai, when we go, whenever the new products are launched, there's a person who's sitting in a mall giving that product out for free. So what those people actually do, let's say Nestle comes up with a new chips. They'll give out those chips for free for, let's say, 30 days. And they'll see if the response is good. They won't produce at all. They'll produce only limited quantity. Only if the limited quantity is sold will they actually start producing in full-fledged. So what they're doing is they're doing a trial run of the product. The other way of doing it is you reach out to people who have done this somewhere else. And if that has been successful or not. In fact, when there was a time when we had thought of launching a business. So what we did is we actually made a mock website. We made a mock website and put it out in the public domain to see how many people actually fall for the idea. There was no idea. There was no product at the base of it. It was just a simple website. And we ran it for 30 days and we realized, okay, it's going to be interesting. The number of hits that we got on the website convinced us that that's a great product to have. Only then did we build the product. So the only expense we incurred was website development cost for 30 days. But that gave us enough powder to know that this is a risk worth taking. So think innovatively, think creatively, and you will have your answer.
All right, sir. Next question is, how do I determine whether an individual is capable of starting a business?
Well, as I said, you need to be in the checklist. So if you are either 3 years or 100 years old, you can start a business. If you're rich or poor, you can start a business. If you're uneducated or educated, you can start a business. Here's a question you need to ask yourself. If tomorrow, that is the idea that you have to stand on, that there is an idea that somebody gives you. Let's assume it's not your idea. You believe it's a great idea. Do you think you will be able to run with that idea and prove to the world what a great idea it is? If you're able to do that, then you can start a business. Because it is that step that has to come from within. The environment is there, it's ready. The environment is waiting with a red carpet to welcome you to entrepreneurship. Let me tell you that. But that first step of walking onto a place where there is no carpet has to be yours. Your next step will be on the red carpet, I can assure you. But that first step, which is the most difficult step, is something that you will have to take. If you feel that you are able to take that one step and jump into an unknown, you can start the business. But let me tell you this, unknown is not a big black hole, right? Unknown is just if you have walked, if you're a driver or you have walked without knowing a direction somewhere, without Google Maps for 5 minutes, and you have reached where you want to reach, you can be an entrepreneur. Because that's exactly what it is. Going blindly for 5 minutes before figuring out it's the right direction or not. If you can do that, you are capable of starting a business.
All right. So next question is, in entrepreneurship, packaging or advertising, does it really affect on the selling of the product?
Yes. Package and advertising are essentially the resumes to the job. Tomorrow, if you have to look for a job, you will use your resume, right? The job that your resume does for your career is the job advertising does for the product. So the way you will spend effort in writing your resume, in writing the stuff that you are doing in your resume, speaking about it in an interview, is exactly the same kind of effort that needs to be taken to sell the product. Think of advertising as a resume to the product.
All right. So next question is, where more we have to focus when we think about starting our own business?
The one place you could focus on starting your business is essentially trying to figure out what are the top 5 problems you want to solve. Make a list of those problems and make a list of those solutions. And the best problem and the best solution that you feel you are best suited to solve is the place where you start your business. For instance, I may have expertise in giving advice to people on entrepreneurship. And I believe that is a problem I can solve. So if I have to ever begin my business, I'll start doing that. I'll give advice to people on how to run the business. That is the problem that I'm solving. That would be the place to start. There might be some guy who is good at arranging flowers, and he does it for let's say his hobby. He needs to figure out if that's a problem people are facing, then that's his place to start. Essentially, it's going to come out of what is the problem that you are able to see that you feel you can solve very well is the place for you to start your business, because that's the least risk part.
All right. So next question is, suppose my business is giving me less income than I expected. How long should I stay in the business?
Well, you need to figure out 2 things. Is your business giving you less income than you expected and that is going to continue? If yes, then you should probably close it now. But if you figure out why is the business giving you less money than expected, can you solve that problem? Then probably you need to continue with it. As I said, stop thinking about ideas as the only things in the world that are going to keep you afloat. Maybe you can take this business, add it to another idea or another problem solving approach, and maybe it can make you far more business than it would. So you need to figure out why is it giving you less income and whether you can do something about it. If you feel you can't do something about it, maybe then it's not the right place to be. It's there's Richard Branson. I'm sure everybody's heard of Virgin's boss. He says business opportunities are like buses. There is always a next one that's about to come by. So wait for the next bus. It's okay.
True, sir. All right, sir. One last question I would like to ask, sir. When we talk about entrepreneurship, basically, when we talk about social entrepreneurship, does it affect the personal life?
Yes, it affects personal life. It enriches personal life greatly.
Yeah.
I think the world has only now has become advanced and mature enough to realize the power that is there in social entrepreneurship. I would I would exhort you to look at Omidyar network. Omidyar network is a private equity fund which is formed by the founder of eBay. I used to work for a great lady called Rupa Kudwa when I was in CRISIL. Today, Rupa Kudwa is the CEO of Omidyar network. So she went on from being India's largest rating agency's CEO to being a CEO of a social entrepreneurship fund. And what that fund does is essentially, there are two advantages to social investing. One is you are creating very big change in life. For people where social entrepreneurship is such a fulfilling business that people are so happy doing it that it gives them tremendous amount of joy. And the second thing is that you would be surprised to find it is so profitable that it is more profitable than most other businesses. So not only are the profits huge, but the mental satisfaction is even bigger. So, and the world is slowly starting to realize that is the big business to be in, because not only does it make you rich, but it makes you happier. And that's like a rare combination.
Yes, sir. But getting trust of the people is also very difficult out there.
Well, as I said, you should be a great storyteller.
It's true. Thank you very much. All right, sir. So no more questions for the day. Thank you, Umesh, sir, for the wonderful session. Now I would like to propose vote of thanks. On behalf of Patkar-Varde College, I, Dr. Vinay Naik, faculty from BMS department, soft skills and SAP coordinator, would like to extend a vote of thanks for this informative and knowledgeable session given by Umesh, sir. So today we have learned about tips on how to become an entrepreneur. And well, I personally believe, sir, that age is just a number to have inventions, just a number. So with my experience also I've learned. So thank you once again, Umesh, sir, for throwing insights into the area of entrepreneurship. Now I would like to thank our chief patrons and advisor members, our management CEO, Dr. Mala Kharkar, Madam, Chief Coordinator, Mrs. Ruchita Dalvi, Madam, who have been the guiding and encouraging spirit for organizing such sessions time and again. Also, a session is incomplete without a wonderful audience and a sound technical team. So thank you, all of you. Now we will be continuing further with our second session of our international webinar. Details will be given by our BMS coordinator, Swati Thakkar, Madam. Over to you, Swati, Madam.
Thank you, Vinaya, Madam. So, good afternoon, everyone. Once again, a warm welcome to Emporio Summit's RUSA-sponsored international webinar on pioneering ventures, new age entrepreneurship. We are now beginning with our session 2, guidance on effective communication skills required for entrepreneurs. Communication is a way to make interaction between people. Entrepreneurs always try to improve their communication skills because it will assist them in sharing their ideas and presenting them clearly, and to constantly work in a better way with their staff, team members, clients, and colleagues. It helps in enhancing customer experience and satisfaction. Remember, happy customers are key to entrepreneurial success. Effective communication strategies and execution facilitates on enterprise decision-making to be faster and mature. Good decisions boost business agility and offer a competitive edge to the company. So today, we are going to understand many such thoughts and skills from our speaker for this session. It is my honor and privilege to welcome our resource person for the second session, Madam Shanaza Khan. Shanaza Madam is a lecturer in London School of Commerce at London, United Kingdom. She is also an interviewer, general administrator at London School of Commerce. She has also worked in Jet Airways as a cabin crew in charge, flight attendant, CRM instructor. Some of her key areas are, Madam is a persona enhancement trainer and has hands-on experience in delivering onboard services. Madam has received many excellent customer service awards and appreciation letters. Shanaza Khan is MSc in International Business Management from London South Bank University. Has a PG diploma in human resource management from NMIMS and also a diploma in aviation and hospitality management from Aviation and Hospitality Academy. Currently, she is pursuing her doctorate in business administration from the University of the West of Scotland. All the very best, madam, from all of us for your future endeavor. With this, I conclude and hand over the session to Shunaza, madam, who I know is going to enthrall the audience with her talk and valuable insights. Thank you. Over to you, madam.
Thank you so much, Swati ma'am. It's an honor and it's a pleasure to be here. Uh, First of all, thank you for letting me be here and be a part of this wonderful initiative which you guys have taken. So first of all, thank you. I've actually heard the speech that Mr. Umesh has given, and it was very informative. So I'm here to talk about communication, right? Now, this is something that we've been doing since the time we are born till the time we die, right? Isn't it? From the time we come to this world till the time we depart, this is one thing that we are doing constantly. Yes, except for breathing. Okay. This is communication, but we still need to have a session on it. Now, that's a question mark, right? Something that we are doing day in and day out, and we still need to have a session on it. Now, why do we need that? It's because things are changing. Okay, it's a fast changing world. Okay, it's the survival of the fittest. You really need to push yourself. You really need to excel yourself in whatever thing you are doing. You need to go out and show people that what you are and how you are. And that sums down to this one thing, which is called as communication, right? Okay, so there are different style of communication, like speaking with your siblings, speaking with your partner, okay, formal, informal, transformational, transactional. There are different ways to communicate, okay? But please remember, the communication skills that I'm talking, don't consider your parents, okay, where your mother and father are communicating. That is not where mother is continuously talking and father is just listening. No, that's not communication. That is why we are here, because as kids, when we see them, oh, that's how we need to communicate. No, we don't communicate like that. Okay, when the poor father is just listening and mother is just giving up. Oh, we are talking about a formal way of communicating, a formal style of coming across. Okay, putting our ideas through, giving the ideas to the people that what we want and how we want. Can we get what we are expecting out of them? Can we give what they are expecting out of us? Now, that's a two-way of communication. Okay, so can I please request the slide? Right, thank you. Right, so guidance on effective communication skills. Let's break it down into two. Now, communication skills, as I said, it's a two-way communication, right? From the speaker to the listener and vice versa. Why is it important in today's field or in today's time? No matter where you go, communication outstands. It's the way you make people believe in you. It's the way you make people understand in you. And that's where communication comes into practice. Now, let's talk about entrepreneurs. Who are entrepreneurs? Can I say an entrepreneur is someone who we can say he's a risk taker, right? Somebody who's ready to take the risk. A person who takes the maximum risk and who enjoys the maximum benefit. He is an entrepreneur. Now, I can also say in one word, an entrepreneur is an innovator. Okay. Now, please don't quote me on that. Not necessarily all entrepreneurs are innovators. No, you can have an idea from somewhere, but you can mold it into a best form of way. Now, giving you an example on that, because I love giving examples. Okay. Now, even the faculties are here. I would like to have a two-way communication, if I may say so. Okay. So the faculties can answer if they can. All right. Now, can somebody tell me the very first company or the organization that introduced mobile phones into the market? Anybody? Can anybody tell me the very first organization or a company that introduced mobile phones into the market?
Ma'am, was it Reliance? I'm not
No,
really sure about it. Nokia, Reliance?
no, ma'am. It was Motorola. Okay, so Motorola was the very first company that introduced mobile phones in the market. But can we see, we don't even remember who Motorola is. Although they were the entrepreneurs, they were the one who came up with the idea. But eventually, as Zeba madam said, Nokia. We remember Nokia. Why? Because Nokia took over the market. Although Motorola had the concept, but Nokia knew how to go across to it. But now, where is Nokia and where is Motorola? If I may ask you, which companies are ruling the world when we're talking about mobile phones? Which companies? Which brands, if I may ask? It's Apple and Samsung. Right or wrong? Right? If you see, most of the people, they're using Apple iPhones and Samsung. Not that they were the first one to introduce, but they were the ones who actually molded it and made the benefit out of it. So this is what entrepreneurs are. You really don't need to be an innovator. You really don't need to have that concept that, okay, I'll do something which nobody has done. Yes, you can do that. People are doing it. Okay, I'm not saying people are not doing it, but not necessarily you have to do it. You can take an idea, you can take a concept, and you can mold it in a way that you present it to the world, and the world is waiting for it. Okay, it's your game. Go and play it in the best way and the best form. So moving ahead, we have different type of entrepreneurs, especially talking about four. Okay, we have small scale businesses, we have large businesses, you have scalable startups, then you have social enterprise, which Umesh sir just pointed out. So there are different type of concepts which you can get in. You have to have your mindset that what you want to start with first. You need to have a clear idea. You need to have a clear perspective, whether you want to start a small scale business, a large scale business, a scalable startup, or whether you want to get into a social enterprise. You need to have the concept clear. If you have the concept clear, then only you can make your concept clear to others. And that's where communication comes into picture, ladies and gentlemen. You need to have that command on your ideas, on your skills, on your presentation to make people understand that what exactly or what actually are you thinking, right? So moving ahead, there are 10 communication skills, okay? That is a must or it is required. No, we can go back to the previous slide. We can go back to the very first slide. I'm still on that, the very first slide. I will ask you if I want you to change the slide. So thank you so much, ma'am. Okay, right. So when we are talking about entrepreneurship communication skills or entrepreneurs communication skills, these are the 10 most important skills, what I believe and everyone else's belief that we require. The very first is conversing. Now, what do you mean by conversing? Conversing means you need to be approachable. You need to be friendly, right? You need to be people's person. You need to be a person that people can understand, that they can come up to you, that they can speak with you, that they can talk with you, right? Now, just giving an example, if I come up with an idea and if I have a business, not necessarily I will know everything that I want to do, right? I might have a team member who can have a better idea than me, isn't it? So when I am people's person, when I am approachable, people can come up with their ideas. They can come and they can give me a guidance. They can give me an outlook that how we can do something which can be different, which can be more effective, which can be more efficient for our business. That is why if you are an entrepreneur, you need to have that conversing power. You need to have that approachable skills where people can actually come up to you and speak to you, give you guidance, give you ideas, right? The second important thing is body language. I think body language is one of the things that shows what kind of a person or personality you have. Now, there is a research on this, and as per the research, 75% of your first impression is the last impression. Okay, when we say first impression is last impression, this is not just a quote, there is a research done on it. So if you are an entrepreneur, if you are selling your business, if you are selling your idea, your first approach is going to leave the impact on the people, right? So your body language is a part of it. You are not only communicating with how you come across, but you're communicating what you want and how you want, right? Then you have, of course, writing, that is your emails, text messages. We all know in today's time, because of COVID, we are sitting at home. Most of our conversations are happening on emails, okay, on text messages. So this is where it comes into picture. How you write, what you write, it is important. Negotiation. Now, do you think negotiation is important? For me, it's very important. Now, forget being an entrepreneur. Even when we go and we buy stuff, don't we see our mothers, our sisters negotiating for stuff? Like, the vendor says, Madam, 1,000 rupees. You say, Sir, please, 800 mein de do, please. That's negotiation. And it is required, because when you are an entrepreneur, every penny saved is every penny earned, and every penny counts. So you have to keep that in mind. You can't just let it go. Okay, you have to have that concept in mind, that you need to try and save your money everywhere or anywhere where it is possible. Okay, because from the small savings, it turns out to be big profits. And that's what the concept and the mindset needs to be. So you need to have a good negotiation and communication skills. You need to be a good mediator. Okay, when you start a business, it's not easy. All right, you might start with a couple of friends, as we will see in furthermore down the line, that most of the businesses or the entrepreneurs, they mostly start with friends and family. When you initially start, it's easy, but later it turns out to get difficult. Okay, like how it is in a relationship. The initial, okay, we have married people in the house. So how it is when you initially get married, it's all lovey-dovey, all good, but after a couple of years, what starts happening? Interference. No, this is not the way. This should be the way. That should be the way. So that is how you need to have that mediator. You need to be that person who can actually calms down. Okay, the person who can actually makes people understand that what is right and what is wrong. Okay, you need to be there to take your team along, because you are a team member. Okay, you are a team's people. Your business cannot work only by yourself. You need to have an entire team, and that's why you need to be a good mediator. Then debater. You need to have a good debating skills. Now, by debating, I don't mean that you just start somewhere, you go up to somewhere and you start fighting that my product is better than yours. No, that's not debating. Debating means that you can present your case well. You know what you're talking about. You know what your product is about. You have a clarity of idea that what you up for, what you're gonna sell, how you're gonna sell. That is where the debating comes into picture. Of course, leader. An entrepreneur is a leader, if I may say so. There is a very thin line by being a boss and being a leader, right? As we say, leaders are born. Now, giving a simple example, we all know President of USA, right? Now, there are two presidents that I want to compare. The very first is Mr. Barack Obama, okay? He was the president of USA for 2 times consecutive, right? And then Mr. Donald Trump came into picture. Now, if you go back and if you see, it is proven that during Donald Trump's tenure, US economy was actually blooming. So the concept that he came into USA, the economy was flourishing, but still people didn't give him a second chance to be the president of USA. Wherein, when we talk about, Barack Obama, he was a people's person. He was a leader. People believed in him, in what he said. Although the economy was not blooming, but people have that trust in him that, yes, I can trust him. He's good for us. He is for us. He is one of us.
And that's where entrepreneurs come into picture. When you are starting your business, your team should believe that you are one of them. You are for them. Okay? You are not there to command them, or you are not there to tell them what they're supposed to do, but you are there to guide them. And that's what is important to run your business successfully. Then you have cross platform communication. Now, cross platform communication is what we're doing right now. Okay, I am in the UK, you all are in India. There are so many people joining from different parts of the world. So how do we communicate? How we come across? Can we, can we see that we can have the grasp over the audience? Okay, can we actually get the idea across? So this is all you have to get into picture. Now, because of COVID, we all know from last 1.5 years, people are working from home. And believe you me, there are so many startups that has invented. People have come out with so much of idea. They are getting so much of funding. How? Because of this cross-platform communication. Not necessarily you have to see them face to face. Okay, there are different modes of communication. That is where, ladies and gentlemen, you need to have that perceptive in mind. How are you going to come across matters? Then, of course, the presentation skills, because when you run a business, you need to present your ideas. There are so many stakeholders, right? You have your funding, from where you're getting the funding from, your shareholders. You have your suppliers. You have your customers. Customers, bear in mind, you have an internal customer and then you have an external customer. You have to keep both of them happy, because you need to keep your retention rate high, right? You can't manage to lose any of them, because you are training them. That is your human resource. That is your human power. That is the human resource is one of the most important thing that gives the last push to a business. Okay, for any business to start, it's, if you have money, you have an idea, you can start a business. But to sustain the business for long is important. Now, for example, in USA, if you go and if you read, there are so many research, like 65% of the US population, they are all entrepreneurs. They work for themselves. They have their own businesses. But mostly 55% of the businesses fail in 3 years to 5 years of tenure. Okay. So starting a business is not easy, but sustaining the business is difficult. Okay. To start a business, you can start it up. You have an idea, you have the funding, you can start the business. But to maintain the business running, to maintain the business going is what it is required. And believe you me, communication skills boils down to it. Last but not the least, the most important criteria that an entrepreneur or anybody to have a good and a strong communication is listening. You need to listen. Okay. Now, I just want to tell you, listening and hearing are two different things. You're not supposed to hear, you're supposed to listen. Because when you listen, you understand things. Now, please don't again think about your parents. Okay. When the father comes in and mother is in a bad mood, father says, "What's in for dinner?" Mother says, "How can your sister talks to me like that?" Father is telling, "What am I doing? I just asked what's for dinner. Tumhara to khandaan hi aisa hai." No, that is not the skill what we are talking about. Okay, we are talking about listening skills, and especially when you are into business, when you're on a professional platform, you need to understand what the person is asking you and how you're gonna come across, what ideas you're gonna generate, how you're gonna put across, okay, yourself, your concept. This is where communication comes into picture. And when we talk about entrepreneurs, communication and entrepreneurship goes hand in hand. Can I please have the second slide? Right. Okay. So now I have told you what is communication, who are entrepreneurs, okay, the risk takers, this and that. But I would like to clear the concept now. When I say you are an entrepreneur, that doesn't mean that you're not gonna fail. Okay. Failure will be a part of your journey. A little example here, what I would like to give. Okay. We all see this man. I'm sure the one in the cartoon pic, the animated, everybody get him. He is the KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. Now, a little intro about him. If you are overwhelmed by rejection or discouraged by setbacks, remember the story of Colonel Harlan Sanders. Fired from multiple jobs, ruined his legal career, was set back by the Great Depression, fires, and World War II, yet still created one of the largest fast food chains in the world. Sanders wouldn't let anything or anyone defeat him. We should be more like Colonel Sanders. Okay, so imagine, ladies and gentlemen, when we are talking about making entrepreneurs, we are talking about building entrepreneurs. Okay, I heard a couple of questions where people say that how can I see, what can I do if I don't want to fail, or what should I do for my business to be profitable? No, there is no what would you say, a formula for it. It's not about how to make a chicken curry, okay, this dhania and red chili powder. No, 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 no. It's not like that. Entrepreneur is the ability, the skill, the zeal to thrive through. Now, Colonel Harland, he started up his KFC career at the age of 40. Okay, at the age of 40, he started up Kentucky Fried Chicken, and now we see it's a legacy, right? He made a brand. He passed away a couple of years back. But I would just like to say, ladies and gentlemen, when you are an entrepreneur, you are immortal. People remember you till the time your product remains in this world, right? This is what we are here for. You should understand what power it has to be an entrepreneur, what it takes to go into the world and tell that, yes, this is me. This is what we are talking about. And nobody can teach you. It needs to come from within. And we are here to guide you, right? Can I please have the second slide? Right. Okay. Now, as I said about rejection, okay, about the communication, now we are talking about skills precisely. What skills are we looking at to be an entrepreneur? Okay. The first is customer acquisition. When we are talking about customer acquisition, correct me if I'm wrong, if I may say, customer are the king. And yes, they are. If you don't have your customers, your businesses goes down, right? Customers are the one who makes who breaks your business. And remember, when I say customers, I'm not only talking about external customers, ladies and gentlemen, I am talking about your internal customers too. You have to make it a point that you keep both of them happy. You have to be there, out there, giving them what they want. As I just said, iPhone. Okay, Motorola started, it's nowhere. Nokia took over the market, it's nowhere. But iPhone is. Okay, people are still waiting for the new launch of iPhone 13, maybe. Isn't it? I hope nobody sold a kidney for an iPhone here. Please don't sell, okay? Not worth it. All right. So you need to understand what your customer needs. Now, we are in a millennial generation, a generation who wants everything at the tip of the button. You want anything, you press it and you get it. That's where you have to keep the concept in mind. It's fast changing. The fashion is changing, the trend is changing, the liking is changing, the kind of approach towards thing is changing. So as a brand, as an entrepreneur, you need to have that taste. You need to have that, you need to have that understanding that what your customers want, what your audiences want, to keep them hooked up. Now, building functional prototypes, okay, doing something which is right. Not necessarily you are following the legacy of what others are doing. You can mold it, and you can also come up with something which is very different, which is very unique. Okay, then software programming, problem solving, strategic thinking, networking, very, very important. Okay, it's very important to have your networking strong, ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about entrepreneur, because you don't know who you would need and when you would need them. And it is the most important thing in today's scenario, because no matter how much hard work you put in, as we say, hard work is not important. Smart work is important in today's scenario. Although you work hard, but how smartly are you putting that hard work in makes a difference. Of course, time management, as we say, waves and tides, doesn't wait for anyone, and it's true. You miss the opportunity and you miss it for all. Then designing, it's very important to have a package. Okay, see, for example, if you're going for an interview, you are going to present yourself. Now correct me if I'm wrong if I say when you're going for an interview you are selling yourself, isn't it? Now please don't take me into a wrong way. Selling yourself means you are going and you are telling them that out of so many candidates, I am the best one. Exactly the way when you're going for your fundings, right? When you're going for your fundings for your startup, now some organization, they may be having 10 different people coming for their startup funding. But how you present yourself, okay, how you design your package, how you come across, the entire packaging matters. That's where you outstand yourself. It is a complete, you are selling yourself, you are selling your ideas, you're selling your thoughts, you are selling your passion, ladies and gentlemen. Communication, of course, this is what we are talking here, something that we do in and out, but we still need to remember, how are we communicating? With whom are we communicating? What is the genre of communication? What is the level of communication? You have to remember that. Finances, very, very important. No business can run without money. Okay. You might have the greatest of idea. You might have the greatest of concept, but you need to have your finances in place, ladies and gents. If there is no finance, apologies on that, you can't start a business, right? Now, branding, of course, a brand is a legacy, as I said, like Versace, Louis Vuitton, Apple, they are brand. People in today's generation or today's scenario, people go and buy brand. And it's not only for others, even for me. You know, you want to relate to the brand which are trending. And that's how it is. You buy a bag, right? A Louis Vuitton bag. It is a matter of class, isn't it? So when we say when a product is born, okay, the actual money what you're giving them is the brand. The actual price that you're paying is for the brand. You're not paying for the product. Of course, the product comes into picture. Like, for example, if you buy a phone, if you have an Oppo phone or if you have an iPhone, what is a massive difference? Nowadays, even we know that the Chinese companies, they are coming with so many new apps, they are putting it into the phone and this and that, right? What makes a phone one worth 20-25,000, another worth 1,10,000? It's the brand that comes with it. So you have to keep in mind how your branding is working, because eventually that's going to continue your legacy. Okay, resilience. People are going to there and they're going to tell you that no, it's not going to work. This is a human concept. This is a human mentality. People are ready to put you down whenever. Very few people you will see around you who are there to give you a push, who are there to give you that, that, oh, you can do it. Don't worry. But most of the time, if we see, people are there to put you down. They'll say, no, it's not going to work. I don't think it's a good idea. The resilience that you have it in you after failure, how to bounce back, that is required to be an entrepreneur. Okay. Of course, then your sales, how your sales are going, how you keeping a tab of it. If you're thinking that, okay, this much needs to be my sale, or this much needs to be my profit, is it going hand in hand? So you need to have your numbers right. You need to have the concept right. Okay, if this is what I want to sell, if it hasn't been, what is the problem? Where can I work on? Why my sale is not increasing? Or if it is increasing, which is a product that I need to concentrate more on? How can I expand my audience? Right? What can I add into things? Efficiency. You need to be efficient. No matter what you do, you have to keep your efficiency. You have to be efficient. You have to give your 100%. The curiosity to learn, to know more, the hunger, to strike more. Okay, for any business, most of the startup, as I said, in US, they fall down. Why? Because initially when you start, the curiosity is more, the passion is more. You start with a bang, you go up till here for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and then eventually what happens? The passion subsides. You know, the irritation comes into picture, the resilience comes into picture, the negativity comes into picture, and bam, it goes down. So you need to have that curiosity to keep learning, keep striving, doing something. Now, an example of this is Facebook. Now, before Facebook, there was exactly something which was launched, I think, couple of decades back. It was Orkut. If some people can remember that, Orkut. It was something exactly like Facebook, and they were before Facebook, okay? Orkut came out before Facebook, but now where it is? They are nowhere to be seen. Facebook took over, and we see how it is. They are updating themselves day in, day out, like your birthday, your memories. They come up 2 years back. What did you do? Okay, 5 years back, what was it? Okay, somebody's birthday, wish them. Somebody's anniversary, go ahead and wish them. Now, don't you feel, in spite of being at home, we are so connected, right? Because of the COVID, we saw there are people, it was like, I think it was not COVID, it was a wedding thing. Every day you open your Facebook, you see people getting married. But we were still connected, isn't it? Although we can't be a part of it, but we know what they are doing. So this is what it is. This is what innovation is getting into picture, ladies and gentlemen. Things that we have not even thought about it, it's actually happening, right? And wait and watch where we're going to go, because we have so many people thinking, innovating, coming up with ideas that if we sit and think like, oh, was that possible? But it is possible, and people are making it happen, right? Fundraising, as I said, important. Pitching, very important. How you come across, how you pitch your idea, how you show your product, how you convince people that yes, it is a product that's going to make money for you. This is what it is important. And last but not the least, keep the smile on. Because if you smile, that calms down you, and that gives the confidence in others to have that empathy with you. So keep smiling. Can I have the next slide, please? Right. Now, characteristic of successful entrepreneurs. Now, earlier what we spoke about skills, what is required, how it is required, okay, what you should have. But these are the characteristic, and it's very important. Now, the very first thing is self-confidence. Now, no matter what you do, ladies and gentlemen, and how you do, you need to have that confidence in you. Because if you don't believe in yourself, who will? Right? If you don't believe in your product, who will? So you need to have that confidence in you. Now, please don't take me wrong. You might fail. Your product might fail. Not necessarily that I believe, okay, this is the best thing to have in the world and it's going to be the best. Not necessary. You might fail, but you need to have that confidence. And if you keep that confidence on, if you have that thing going, it takes you to different level. It takes you to different parameters. That's what we are talking. Believe in yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Believe in yourself. Okay. The second thing is passion. You need to have passion for your work, no matter what you do. Whatever your thing is, you cannot do it without passion. Like, for example, nowadays, we all want to be healthy. We all want to be fit, right? So you need to have that passion within you that you want to lose weight. If you don't have that passion, nothing works into picture. Motivation, as I said, people are there to put you down. Remember that always. If somebody is not appreciating you, don't feel sad about it. Oh, I did such a good job, but nobody told me, oh, you did a fantastic job. But when I'm doing wrong, there are 10 people pointing out and saying, oh, you did it wrong. Oh, she did it wrong. She didn't do it in the right way. Understand the motivation. Please don't look it outside. Look for your motivation coming from within. That is what we are looking at. You need to motivate yourself Nobody else is going to motivate you. Okay, it's your motivation. It needs to come from within. Like, for example, we all know Shakira, the pop singer, Hips Don't Lie, Waka Waka. A little, story of her. Uh, the very first time she went on the stage to sing when she was a child, she was in school, and she sang the song. And one of her teachers called her after singing. She was so happy. She said that, oh my God, she's about to appreciate me, that I might have done a fantastic job. But when she went to the teacher said, you know what? Don't sing ever again. You were very bad. Now imagine if Shakira would have taken it personally, we would not have got a worldwide pop star sensation. This is what I'm talking about. No matter what people tell you, how they tell you, what keeps you going is the motivation that you have within yourself. Don't look at outside. It needs to come from inside. Okay. Of course, your product knowledge, as I said, if you don't know about your product, forget it. You're not going anywhere. Then ability to network, very important. Who you know, and how can they help you matters a lot, right? Optimism, you always need to be positive. Anything that comes into picture, even in life, this is for all my youngsters out there. No matter what happens, please be optimistic. The optimistic mindset will lead you to your destination. And especially when you're starting up something new, it's not easy. It's not easy to come with an idea, to have people, to make them understand you, to make them put money in your concept. It's not easy. But if it's not working, keep that optimism going, because if that optimistic idea or the concept is not there, you will not reach your target, right? Then vision. You need to have your vision in mind. Now, do we all know Bill Gates? I'm sure, okay? We all know Bill Gates. Now, Bill Gates was someone who was a college dropout, right? But he has this vision in his mind, the co-founder or founder of Microsoft. He has this vision in mind that after a couple of years, every house will have a laptop or computer. Now it is very common, but if I ask you to go back 10 years down the line, right? If I would have told you the same way that every house will have a laptop, computer, iPad, tablet, we would say, why would we need it? It is required in offices. I don't need a computer at home. It's only for office work. But Bill Gates had that vision that every household will have one. And see, it's a fact. We all have it. And at the age of 31 years, he was the youngest self-made billionaire. Okay. He was the richest man of the world for 13 consecutive years. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't let anybody say that you are wrong. What you're thinking is not right. Because at that point of time, when Bill Gates said, people said, why? A laptop at home, a computer? I don't need it. I will never get it from my children. But we need it. We have it. And now with the COVID, we all know every session is happening online. It is a necessity. Somebody thought about it, right? You need to have a goal mindset. As I said, you need to look at your goal. Now, when we are talking about this Google Meet, we are talking about Zoom. Now, frankly speaking, I wasn't aware about Zoom, about this Google Meet 2 years back or one and a half year back. But suddenly with this COVID, we realized, oh, there's something which is called this. Now, imagine there was an entrepreneur who already thought about it way back, that probably in future we might need something like this. And he came up with the concept, and now they are minting money because his vision, his mindset was that strong. Risk taking, of course. You need to be a risk taker. As I said, an entrepreneur is somebody who is the highest risk taker. He's ready to do whatever it takes to go ahead and get what his goals are. Of course, you need to be creative, persuasiveness. Okay, you need to have that thing, decision making, tenacity, money management, adaptability. Okay, now when I'm talking about all this, we all know Elon Musk. We know Elon Musk. Who is he? Tesla. Tesla, we know. Okay. Now we are comfortable with this idea of Tesla, self-driving cars. Now imagine if somebody telling you 10 years back that you will have a car where you can start and you can sleep and it will just drive you through. You will say, are you mad? What are you even talking about? But here we are, and we know there's something like that. You have a self-driving car. You sit into the car, you put it in the parking mode, and the car parks itself. It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Now, if I tell you, probably 10 to 20 years down the line, you will go into a supermarket and you will buy oxygen. Would you believe in me? Or would you believe that? Most of you would say, oxygen? Why would I go and buy oxygen? It's like it's available. Now sit down with your grandmother. Okay. Now I think now they also have. But if you go to your villages, okay, if you go to your villages, your native place, you know, there you say we go and we buy water. It's the same concept, right? We are bound to think that okay, water, air needs to be free. But the concept has changed completely, especially in the UK. When we go, as we buy a grocery, we buy tons and tons of water, right? So the concept is changing. So probably another 20 years down the line, there is already a research going on. People are doing it that how you just walk into a superstore, you buy chips packet, you buy water, you buy cold drink, you're gonna buy oxygen, ladies and gentlemen. Imagine, because of the global warming, because of the environmental issues, you will have purified oxygen that you will just grab, a good to go, grab it, put it on, and walk around. This is a concept. This is where entrepreneurs comes into picture. They think what we don't. That's what we want to be. Expand your horizon. Think above it. Think something where, when we say, when people start telling you are mad, I think that's the time you are on the right track, because you're thinking about something different where nobody has thought about. And that's what characteristic an entrepreneur has. All right. Can I please have the second slide or the next slide? Okay. So when we were talking about startups, there are so many startups that has happened in 2021, 2018, 2019. People said COVID is bad, businesses are going down. But understand there are so many businesses who have picked up because of COVID, something which we have not even thought about. Okay. And people are working on it and they are minting money. They are actually minting money, right? So to name few Indian startups, these are our top picks of the top startups in India 2021 that are growing fast and have truly unique concepts. Now, talking about a few, the one which I highlighted, the first one is iDio. Now, what is iDio? iDio is an instant app, that an instant app makes platform. It's a platform that makes apps instantly. Like, you don't need an IT department, okay? You don't need a separate department to make an app. If you want to make an app for your events, for anything, you straight away go up to them and they make your app instantly within 30 minutes. And they are actually having a huge amount of, what would you say, audience, or the people are coming in and they are making huge amount of money, right? Then there's a different startup which started, it's Upnam. Now I think most of the people here, my faculty people, okay, and students, most of you must be aware about LinkedIn. We all are aware. I'm also a part of LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn is something which for highly skilled people, highly skilled professionals, like you have your 15, 20 degrees, you are posting there, and then you're looking, and then you are networking, you are connecting with people. What is Apna? Apna was started by somebody from Chandigarh named as Mr. Nimrit Parekh. He started this for the low skilled workers, people like drivers, cleaners, beautician, and it is a huge success. There are 6 million plus people up there connecting each other and helping each other, and apparently it's 12.5 billion turnover that they're looking at. It is It is insane, isn't it? Who would have thought that we have something for an elite class, like, skilled workers, you show your degree, you show your qualification, you show your experiences, but somebody thought of helping, the people who are lower level. And how he did that? By opening this Apna Foundation, or this, apna.co. You register yourself, you help people. Okay. You do this, you make them worthy of their talent. This is what people are doing. Then we have also one more startup called Arzu. So it is a B2B business. It's an electronic startup, okay, where the electronic stores, they sell their items like your TV, your washing machine, your cell phones, everything. So it's B2B, okay. And apparently, as I said, Zoom, the co-founder of Zoom is actually putting in money into Arzu because they see how far this business can go. Last but not the least, we have Arata. Arata is about using the herbal brands. Like, as Indians, we all are mostly fascinated by using the herbal products like amla, shikakai. So they have come up with this concept, and apparently this company formed over dinner. They were having dinner, okay, and then they came up with this startup, or this idea that let's start it. It is a company that's into beauty products, which uses all the shikakai, avla, and they are representing India all over. As we say, make in India. This is what they are doing, and they are having good amount of turnaround. So this is what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, to all my youngsters out there. Not necessarily you need to get an idea of doing something way above your scale. No, you can come up with a small idea. Like, not necessarily you need to be Elon Musk, okay, and you need to go to, and you have to start making something that can take you or travel to space. We all know, right, what Elon Musk is doing. By 2021, they are gonna have the first travel to space, and there are people funding into that research because they see there is a potential. In future, people will go to space and come back because people want to see what's there. Now imagine, in COVID, we are all sitting here. In a layman term, we can't we can't think of going to another country. Like, I'm in the UK. If I want to come to India now, I know there is a lot of issues, your COVID test, this, that, and everything. Forget that. You all are in India. Okay, there is lockdown happening. After 8 o'clock, you can't even go to the Naka, to get your grocery and stuff like that. Imagine this man right now in COVID. In by the end of 2021, he is thinking to take people to space. Now, what would you say that? Is he mad? No, he's an entrepreneur. He's somebody who's thinking outside the box, and that is what we want. Can I please have the next slide? Right. Okay, as I said about different entrepreneurs, this is one entrepreneur that I am really, I really look up to him. And the founder of Alibaba, Jack Ma, I think you all must have heard about him. Okay, he is the one who suffered so many failures, one after another, one after another. He failed from one job to another. For all you know, he went for an interview. In one of his interview, he was saying he went for this, as I said, KFC. I just told you. So he went for an interview of KFC for a manager. Okay, there were 26 candidates. 25 of them got selected. The one who got rejected was Jack Ma. And where is he? He is one of the richest man of Asia. This is what it is. Failure can't stop you, but not trying can. So please don't get demotivated if people reject you. Rejection is part and parcel, but a true entrepreneur doesn't give up. Now look at Alibaba, they are into IT, and IT, the artificial intelligence, okay, this is the future. I don't know how many of you are aware, if you go on YouTube, there are so many restaurants in Japan which have robots as waiters. If you go to the grocery store, you have robots helping you out. Now, what they are doing, because they know having humans, you fall sick, people can't come in, this and that. They are replacing them with artificial intelligence, and that's going to be the future, ladies and gentlemen. And somebody has already thought about it, and that's Jack Ma. Okay, so don't give up. If you really want to do something in life, no matter how many people are rejecting you, how many times you get rejected, but how you pick up yourself is what we are looking at. Now, we saw about KFC. He started his career, or he started his brand at the age of 40. Now, if we talk about India, if you're talking about I'm 40, people already consider that I'm old. Like when you say, oh, he's into his 40s, arey, abhi to budde ho gaye. Like, what can we do? It's 40. No, change the mindset. Age is just a number. It's what you think. But what you want is you can produce it. Nobody can tell you that you can do this or you can do that, but you can show them what you can do. And that's what an entrepreneur does. You need to come across with your powerful communication skills, with your ideas. It's all a package, it's all part and parcel. An entrepreneur without passion, no. An entrepreneur without communication skills, no. An entrepreneur without compassion, no. It's a part and parcel. Everything is knitted together, ladies and gentlemen, and you need to be a complete package. And if you are not, it's fine. You can always learn. So keep learning. Keep learning. Next slide, please. All right. So I think I've spoken enough, right? Now I would like to show you something which, as an initial entrepreneurs, you should know what is required. Okay, so this is one of the worst pitches. I don't know whether you guys are aware about Dragon's Den. Okay, giving you a brief idea, Dragon's Den is something where an entrepreneur starts up with a new product, and they go and they pitch their product to get the funding from the market leaders. So there, in this today's thing, I would like to show a worst pitch and the best pitch, and then we can compare. So, ma'am, if I can please request you to play the first one, the worst pitch.
Hello, my name is Jude Camplin. This is Chrissy Shaw. We've come here today for investment in our two companies, Evolution Solutions and Evolve Through Training. The investment we're looking for is £150,000 for 20%. Evolution Solutions is a construction company which champions women in the construction industry. That means that wherever possible, we employ women tradespeople. Evolution Solutions started trading in September 2005.
Nerves are getting the better of Jude. She'll have to regain her composure quickly to stand any chance of persuading the dragons to invest.
We champion women in the construction industry. Housing associations have to hit diversity targets. We solve that problem for them. There are some environments men just can't go into. There's refuges, sheltered housing. We also have a lot of anecdotal evidence which also says that customers just prefer women in their homes. You know, that's probably because of the much televised pot-bellied builder rummaging through your knicker drawer that you know gets that perception, but it's out there and it is about trust. Chris is going to talk about evolve through training.
Right. There's two sides to the business. As you've heard, there's the building company. We also have an academy. Right. The academy is set out over 3 sites in Derby, and it was designed specifically to deliver good quality construction training to everyone. The Academy will deliver City and Guilds accredited training through intensive courses in 5 aspects of the construction trades. I'll hand you back to Jude.
We want an academy and a construction company in every major city of the UK within 10 years. We also want to see a woman on every building site within 5 years. So thank you for your time and please ask any questions.
Thank you.
After a shaky start, Jude and Chrissy have made it through their pitch. They're asking for £150,000, but the 20% equity they're offering in return is split between 2 companies. It's an unusual deal, and Deborah Meaden needs some clarification.
I need to understand those 2 companies. How does that work?
Evolution Solutions has been trading a lot longer. Evolve Through Training is launching in August, as Chrissy said.
Okay, and what's the turnover on Evolve Through Training? We're probably looking at about 500,000 in the first year. So there's at the moment, no turnover in either of the businesses.
No, Evolution Solutions has been trading since September 2005. And up until April, we turned over only about £150,000.
And out of the 150,000, how much does that drop into profit?
I'm going to be totally honest, not a lot. This year, we've made a loss.
Are you offering us 20% of each of your companies?
Yes, we're offering
20%
of both of the companies.
So that's 20% split up. So 5% Evolve Through Training, 15% Evolution Solutions.
Okay. How does that work? How does that work?
Well, what do you mean, how does it work? 5% of Evolve Through.
So you're actually giving me 5% of one company and 15% over the other. You're not giving me 20%, are you?
Well, all right, 20% is combined over both companies.
No, it doesn't work like that. One could be worth £100, right? And you give me 20% of it. That's 20 quid. Yeah? Keep it simple. And the other one could be worth...
We're all winning. We do, I apologise, but we face this.
You get a terrible attitude. I tell you, on that point, I've got a serious issue with that comment.
Well,
do you know how many women I work with?
Yeah,
Do you want to have a guess?
No, I don't know. I can imagine.
Please have a guess.
I've no idea. I don't know who, to be perfectly honest.
You don't know who we are. You've pitched up, asked for £150,000 for 20%, which is actually 5% of one company and 15% of another company. You don't know who we are. you made a flippant comment about.
It's not flippant, it's very serious.
So you made a very flippant comment.
It's very serious.
Because if you'd done your homework, you wouldn't have made a comment.
Jude has incensed Theo Paphitis. Deborah Meaden tries to steer the discussion back to business.
How about we start again and you talk us through your business model and how we make some money, and just want to understand the business. Can you explain to me why you think there aren't more women in the construction industry at the moment?
If you've got 20 men and one woman vying for a position in a building company as a trainee, whether you like it or not, men still choose to take on men. That is a fact as well. And
do you know you're beginning to sound like a crusade?
It's a campaign. It's a campaign because it's a niche market. There's a niche in the market.
Jude's approach to the business is not impressing the Dragons. Peter Jones is ready to have his say.
Using words like campaigning, using words like I want a woman on every building site.
We do.
Well,
because there are women
do you
out
not
there
see the
that
alienation? Do you not see the alienation that will ensue?
No.
Well, you've already got 5 dragons pretty hacked.
Well, I'm sorry about that. I really am.
What are you going to do when you go out to the open market and try and sell your services?
We've succeeded. We have got the attention of housing associations.
You have succeeded.
That are very happy.
Okay, can I please request to stop the video now?
You haven't got a business that makes any money, and you haven't even started a trading business.
Now Jude and Chrissy have been blasted by Peter Jones. With emotions running high in the den, Richard Varde.
Thank you. Can you please stop the video now? Right. Okay. So I would just like to give you a preview how it happens when you're pitching your idea. So if we just saw this video, right? Now the concept was very unique, that when we talk about construction businesses, we only think about men working in construction, right? Okay, we don't see women working in here. So these women, they had the concept of having women into construction, getting them an equal liberty and equal right. Now it is a very good concept, a very unique concept, but they failed miserably. Now, why was that? The very first thing, the confidence. We all saw, didn't we, when the video started, both the women entered, and the one who was about to present the idea, she was actually inhaling deep in and out. She was not confident. You can see that she was trembling, right? She was not sure what she's about to say. First thing, there is a minus there. Second, the way she pitched the idea as campaigning. Now, we saw on the Dragon's Den, there was this only one woman sitting and the rest 4 were male. But she didn't do her research right. As one of them in his own organization, he has more women working for him than men. But she came across as a very, feminist or a women-centric. It's not bad to be feminist, but how you, not that all men are wrong or what the concept is wrong, but how you come across with your idea is wrong. They failed miserably because she was not able to make people understand what their concept was. And this is what happens, ladies and gentlemen, whenever you are going to pitch for your fund, whenever you are going to ask for money, you need to have your concept in mind. When 2 people are going, you should go as a team.
Okay, you need to have a clarity of idea. As these women, they don't know what they were talking about, although it was their own business, and they were asking for thousands and thousands and thousands and pounds of funding, but they don't know how to convince people to put the money with them or for the company that they want to, excel. So this is what happens. So this is for all rising entrepreneurs. Keep that in mind. Have the concept clear in your mind. How do you want to come across? First of all, have that self confidence in you, that what you're saying, what you're talking, you need to show the people that, okay, you believe in your product. Because as she started, it looked like, she does not have the concept right in her own head. How she's going to clarify it to others? This is where the entire things goes upside down. So you have to keep that in mind. In future, if you want to go, if you want to address, if you want to go out, ask for funding, go to the banks or go to the startup companies. Now, can I please have the next slide? Okay, so as I showed you, the Dragon's Den, you can always go. You have the worst pitches, you have the best pitches, and it gives you an idea how can you go about. Okay, so you can always go, it's there on YouTube. Ma'am, the last or the next slide, please. Yes. Okay, so there are a lot of these YouTube videos that can help you to excel. Now, there are a lot of incubators in India. If you want to start up, there are a lot of things who help you, or these are the companies that I have listed. If the students, if you want, you can have a screenshot of this, okay, or you can always Google it up, like Angel Prime, Khosla Lab, Science and Technology, Entrepreneurship Park. So if you have an idea, you have a concept, you have people, you have a team, you can always go there, present your idea, and remember what to do and what not to do. Okay, because if you are not sure with your own concept, nobody is going to pitch in even a penny into it, right? Can I have the second slide or the next slide, please? Okay, now this is the government schemes. Okay, now as we say in our country, okay, we are trying to be self-sufficient. So our government is trying to help people to get more into entrepreneurship, to start up their own businesses. And this is the list of organizations that are helping you, the government schemes that you can get in the fund, like Startup India Seed Fund, Startup India Initiative, Loan for Rooftop, New Gen Innovation and Entrepreneurship Development Center. So there are a lot of things available for you guys. There are lots and lot of things available. If you know what you want to do, you have made up your mind, you have your concept, go there. People are there to help you. Okay, you have the government funding, you have the private sectors who's ready. People are waiting for the idea. People are waiting for that click of a button, like Zomato, Ola. Ola is giving such a big fight to Uber, isn't it? Who thought? Four guys from Bangalore, they thought of starting up, this Ola company, and see where is it? Million and million pounds of, turnover all over the world. Okay, it has its own identity. Okay, it has its own brand. So remember that. So there are a lot of things available for you all. You can always go there, look for it, look for things, and not necessary everybody has that good communication skills. Not necessary. You need to learn to inculcate things. So as I say, YouTube is my best friend. Okay, I just don't go and see Dance India dance on YouTube. No, I also go and watch some TED Talks. So this is for all my young students out there. Please go invest some time. Okay, invest some time in surfing something which is good for your knowledge. Go watch TED Talks, watch this Dragon's Den. It will give you an idea for my budding entrepreneurs, for my new generation, for the youth of my country. Go look for something which is good for you. Start learning, building the skills. Everything is just there at the tip of your button. Do something which is innovative for you, which gives you that kick, which give you that push to achieve what you aim for. The next slide, please. So, last but not the least, I would like to conclude that communication works for those who work for it. Read that again. Communication works for those who work at it. Although we do it day in and day out, you need to brush yourself again and again to have that finest form of communication to get and achieve what you are aiming at and what you're dreaming at. And last but not the least, that one thing that I keep telling myself and I keep telling all my students all over the world, that if you're looking for that one person who can change your life, take a look at the mirror, because it's you who will determine where you want to be. On that note, thank you so much. Any questions? All the best, ladies and gentlemen. And if you have any questions, let's do it.
Yes, ma'am. There are a few questions from the participant side. Just one second. Ma'am, there is one question asking that is it important or relevant to have a strong financial literacy base to become a good entrepreneur?
Strong financial literacy base. Okay, so see, to be an entrepreneur, you need to be a master of all, right? As I said, it's a whole package. So you need to have your finances in control and in picture, because no business can run without money. So you need to have that idea how you're going to save, what you're going to do, how well you can, come across. Not necessarily you can have billion of pounds or million of rupees in your account. You can start up with limited amount or limited money, but how you work with it matters. So yes, it is important. It is important. You need to expand yourself.
Agreed. Okay. Participants can pose their question in the comment box below. Okay, ma'am, there is one question from a participant. How one can stay motivated with new startups in case of ups and downs?
Okay, so as I think I put it up across also, I think the only thing that can take you far is the motivation that you have. Okay, things will go down and things will go up. There will be a time that your business will be at the peak, because everything that goes up eventually comes down, right? And the thing that goes down, you have to have that ability and that motivation to pull it up. That's where the business runs, and that's where the mindset goes. So you need to train your mind to be in that arena, that if you are hitting the bullseye, your temperament is still there. You know what your aim is and you know what your goal is. Like what we say, no, if you get everything, you don't need to be proudy of it that I've got it. You still need to hold your ground. Okay, so if you still hold your ground, for example, Mr. Ratan Tata, he still holds the ground, and that's why we look up to him as a leader. No matter, like Tata Nano was one of the biggest flop, isn't it? Everybody thought Nano is going to take over the market, a car which is just 1.5 lakh, 2 lakh rupees, but it didn't pick up. So that doesn't matter. You're not going to face challenges. You will go down. But how you keep yourself motivated is within you. The ability to, again, look for another goal and run behind it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your patience and sharing such great examples with us to explain us the journey of entrepreneurship. I think there are no more questions, so we can head towards the vote of thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I deem it a great honor and a privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this knowledgeable webinar. I, Ms. Nadi Borana, Faculty of Department of BAF, on behalf of Patkar-Varde College, would like to take this opportunity to propose the vote of thanks to those who have directly or indirectly contributed to RUSA-sponsored international webinar on Pioneering Ventures, New Age Entrepreneurship, organized by Department of BCom Accounting and Finance, Bachelor of Management Studies, and BCom Banking and Insurance. At the outset, I would like to propose a hearty vote of thanks to our speakers, Mr. Umesh Nihani and Ms. Shunaza Khan, for making excellent presentations and making this webinar interesting and meaningful. We are really enlightened with your knowledge and presence. Entrepreneurship is a journey, and the way you guided the participants by sharing the best examples, as I told, was really appreciable. I'm sure that all the participants have taken and noted down your suggestions. Now, before I take this opportunity to thank our patrons and the organizing committee as well as conveyor, there is one question from our participants. Would you like to address it, ma'am?
Oh, of course, why not?
Sure.
I would love to have more questions. Go ahead.
Ma'am, as you said that negotiation is one of the most important thing that works out. So, ma'am, while speaking, we don't get that confidence. So please give us some idea which will work for better communication in case of entrepreneurs.
All right. So the idea of getting the confidence. Now, my suggestion to it would be practice. Keep practicing. Okay, as we say, practice makes men perfect. It makes women also perfect. All right. So no matter who you are and what you're up to, keep practicing. I understand communication is not everybody's forte. Even when I was a child, I was not a good communicator, right? But now I am a people's person. How? Because I turned out my lacking into my ability. You are the one, you know what's lacking in within you, right? Forget, don't wait for people to tell you that you lack in this or you lack in that. You are not a good communicator, right? You don't have that confidence. You have people fear. You have stage fear. What can you do about it? As I said, go to YouTube, watch TED Talks, try to get the fear out. You guys are in college, okay? Try and take presentation, own up to it, be a part of your cultural activities. That's where you're going to get the boost from. That's how you get, the exposure from. And I absolutely love Patkar College cultural activities. It gets presented in newspapers and all. So I think if you are part of this culturally active university or college, you need to give it a try. And from the small things, these are the small steps that can take you far off. So start working. I know negotiating, it's not easy, especially when you're going to negotiate for funding. I think most of the all the ladies in the house will agree, when we go out shopping also, asking a vendor to get that 100 rupees down is a task, isn't it? But what you say, you have to negotiate. That's how it works. So start working on it. Okay, from the small things leads to the bigger steps. So I cannot just get it from my pocket and give it to you. See, this is your self-confidence. No, you need to build it. Thank you.
Ma'am, here is the next question. How do I determine whether one is capable of starting a business?
Okay, the answer to that is how strong is your heart? Are you a risk taker, right? Because no business comes with a guarantee whether you're going to make money or you're going to lose money. So you have to have the concept in mind that I am here to put in my 100%. And believe me, if you give your 100%, no matter what, you will get success. But success doesn't come in a time frame. Like, for example, you start your business and you cannot expect success to come within 6 months or 8 months' time. At times, you might even take 1 year or 2 years, right? So you need to have that patience and you need to have that ability to take the risk. Okay, so if you have the ability, you are an entrepreneur in yourself.
Totally agreed, ma'am. The next question is, ma'am, shall one invest in startups during the second wave of COVID? And what are the best business opportunities during COVID?
Okay, fantastic. I think it's a very valid question. I think startups are the new blood, as I can say. These are the new generation. We are having kids like in COVID. If you see, on the TV, we have kids. They are coming up with apps. They are making their YouTube channel, who are like 6 years, 8 years old, and we get awestruck that being a child at this age, when we were fighting for ball and bat, kids are making all these apps, which is for youngsters, and they are making million and million of money. All right, all these software companies are looking into to invest in that. So I think startup is the new core. Like, for example, here, if I may give you, we all love watching movies. We used to go to PVR, pay 1,000 rupees one ticket. Now, do you see the concept will go ahead? I don't. This OTT platform has come in. Why would I pay 1,000 rupees? I might as well give my Netflix this subscription for 1 year, and then I sit in my cozy room and watch it. Isn't it? So things are changing, and I think startup is the one which is coming up with a full bang. They are coming up with full zeal, because when people are sitting in the house, they're not only wasting time, they are thinking over it. And I think for COVID, when you talk, I think it is something that will go really long, especially in this scenario, right? If you really have that interest in computer, in your software, hardware, stuff like that, if you have the interest in it, get into it, because it's the future. IT is the future. So
All right. Here is the next question, ma'am. When you are in crisis or conflict, how you will communicate in those situations? How to communicate in those situations during the time of crisis or conflicts?
okay, first of all, it's undeniable to have a conflict. We are humans, as we say, no five fingers are same. Exactly the way no all human beings are same. If you are an entrepreneur, you are starting a business, you are working somewhere, you will have people who will have different opinions. The only thing that I would like to say is just one sentence: agree to disagree, right? You agree with everybody on the topic where you disagree. This is where you need to come to one common ground. So if you have crisis, you will have there are days that I don't agree with some of my colleagues, or something goes wrong, and but how you agree to disagree, keeping the self respect, keeping the momentum going, and keeping the idea in the head, I think that's where it will lead you to your final destination.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. One last question is there. What is the greatest fear and how do we manage this fear?
What is the greatest fear? Is this for me? Like for
Yes,
me
what
in
is
person?
your greatest fear? We can
Okay.
answer the second part, like how do we actually manage fear to overcome?
Okay. Now, a simple thing. I think fear will be different for everyone. Like, the thing that I fear, Nidhi, it's not necessary that you would fear the same, right? Like, as I said, some people might have stage fear. Some people can be a very good communicator, but when they are behind the scene, they cannot communicate when they come in front. Like, for example, when we talk about movies, right? We have the directors, they come up with the idea, but we have few actors who actually act. So fear is gonna go differently. Not everybody will have the same fear, but if you have the fear, I think how you work towards it actually help you to overcome it. Everybody will have fear. There will be nobody on this earth and say that I don't fear anything. No, not possible. You will fear, because you are human at the end. I think fear of dying, isn't it? We all know that we are born to die, aren't we? We are born to die, but eventually, if you ask somebody that you're gonna die today, of course he's gonna fear, right? So fear is something that is unavoidable, but I think keeping the composure and understanding of yourself, having a belief in you, considering everything from one point of view, having a concept and clarity of idea helps you to go through that fear, right? For example, a very simple example is when you're going for an interview, you have a fear whether you'll get selected or no. But how you prepare yourself will actually get the fear down. This is what it keeps going on. So work on that. The more hard work you put in yourself, the better results and the less fear you have.
Okay, one more question is there from a student, Lysandra ma'am. If a business is going down and almost on the verge of shutting down, how will you deal with it? Because sometimes it is difficult to come to terms with it.
Right. Okay. I absolutely agree. Okay, it's not easy. Now, this is what it is. As human being, coming to terms with something that we don't like is not easy. I like to give examples because then people start relating to it. Okay. Now, for example, we have this young generation in here. You get into a love marriage, all lovey-dovey, everything. But after 3 years, 4 years down the line, you realize it's just not working. It's just not working. Eventually, what happens? You divorce your partner, right? It's very disheartening to let him go or let her go. It's not easy because he or she was the love of your life. But what was more important is the peace of your mind. So if it's your business and you know it's not working, no matter what you do, understand an entrepreneur is somebody, if you don't get a knock on your door, you build a door. Okay, we say opportunities knock on your door. If the opportunity is not knocking, build a door, and that's where entrepreneurs come into picture. So if it's not working and you've given your 100%, it's fine, let it go. Come up with something that can help you gain much more, and probably that's what meant for you, and maybe you will excel in it, isn't it? So keep that concept clear, keep your mind open. Failures are part and parcel of life. You can't avoid failures, ladies and gentlemen. Love to get, but not trying and stopping and giving up is where the death of innovation comes into picture. So please don't give up. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for addressing all the questions so patiently and listening to it. I think there are no more questions to address, so we can close down the session. So now
Thank you. Yeah,
Yes.
I would like to give a thank you. First of all, thank you, Nidhi ma'am, Swati ma'am, Zeba ma'am, Mala ma'am, and all the faculty out here who are so knowledgeable. So thank you for giving us an opportunity to come on this platform and address to the young generation of India. It is overwhelming, and I'm deeply touched. And thank you for the organizing committee for coming up with this such wonderful idea. I think you guys are doing a great job. So please stay safe, stay healthy, and thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank our speakers as well as Shri Kishore Rangnikar, sir, the President of Chikitsak Samuha, Dr. Kiran Mangaonkar, Vice President of Chikitsak Samuha, Dr. G.V. Pandit, Joint Secretary of Chikitsak Samuha, Dr. Mala Kharga, Chief Education Officer, Dr. Shrikant Savan, Principal of our college, Ms. Ruchita Dalvi, Chief Coordinator of Self-Financing Section, for providing us an opportunity for conducting this webinar in such difficult times. I would also like to thank Ms. Swati Thakkar, Coordinator of BMS Department, Ms. Zeba Khan, Coordinator of PAP and BBI Department, for their contribution and guidelines. A special thanks to the organizing committee for their support and coordination. A heartfelt thanks to all the participants for being active in the session. I request all the participants to submit their feedback through the link which is provided in the chat box so that we can generate your participation certificate. Please note that the link for the feedback will be open for 15 minutes. With these warm words and a kind message, we move to the end of today's webinar. Thank you once again, everyone. Stay home and stay safe. Zeba ma'am, Swati ma'am.
Nidhi, just
Yes,
give me a
Nidhi.
minute, please.
Sure.
Just give me a minute, please.
Sure.